Chapter 26. Ravel stepped back unconsciously and said in disbelief, "How is it possible? Why would two Tianlongs be staying with the same person?" Then she seemed to have thought of something and shouted, "You stole someone else's artifact." But then she became doubtful and denied her own thoughts. "No, the two dragons are fighting each other endlessly, even if you want to, they won't agree." Having said this, Ravel looked at Nangong Long with an incredible look. "How on earth do you manage to combine two completely opposite forces into one?" Hearing her words, Nangong Long suddenly burst into laughter. "When I merged the two great divine weapons, it was so painful for me." Divide. Razor and Ravel's power was halved again. Lesser's expression became uglier, but Ravel's expression didn't change at all. The families of both sides returned to their respective camps. The situation before them was too unexpected. "It's crazy to think about it." "That's right. Arubian and I were in a lot of pain at the beginning." Tianlong's voice was clearly heard by everyone. "The armor spoke," Asia said in surprise. Rias took a deep breath to calm herself down. "That should be the soul of Tianlong sealed in the artifact. Why are you both staying in the same person?" Lesser yelled. "I can only say that things are unpredictable. I myself did not expect that I would choose the same host as my nemesis," Drake said with emotion. Junai kept looking at Nangong Long until her eyes gradually became moist. She finally understood the strange and familiar feeling lingering in her heart. Akame couldn't control herself anymore and threw herself into his arms with tears in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me? Want to give you a surprise? Don't cry, let's talk about it after the game is over, okay?" Akame reluctantly left his embrace and stared at him, saying in a rather tough tone, "I'll explain it to you later." "No problem, Divide." Nangong Long stretched out his hand and placed it on Rias's shoulder. Gift from the Red Dragon Emperor. Rias looked surprised when she felt her power increase. "What's going on?" "I will transfer the doubled power to you, so that your strength can be improved. The current power difference between you and Shaiji is enough to kill him." Hearing what Nangong Long said, Lisa's followers immediately guarded their master. Seeing this, Kitty and the others each went after their previous opponents to fight again, so as not to let them disturb the minister's fight. Rias raised her hand and deployed a magic circle in front of Razor, and the destructive magic power began to gather. Razor backed away with a horrified expression. Ravel quickly spoke, "Wait a minute, let's." Before she finished speaking, Rias had already blasted magic at Razor. She had wanted to do this for a long time, and of course she would not stop just because of a word from the other party's sister. After the attack, Rias immediately felt a lot more relaxed, and the long-term pressure was swept away. King Razor is eliminated, Rias wins. On the other side, the underworld Surtsks had just calmed down from his shock, and then turned to look at Demiurge. "You don't look surprised at all, you're so calm." Demiurge smiled and said, "How could it be that it just didn't show it, but the so-called Phoenix was crushed from beginning to end, it's really miserable." "No way, the opponent is too strong." Demiurge stood up and prepared to return to his territory. "Now that it's over, I'll take my leave now." After Demiurge left, Surtsks fell into deep thought. He wanted to think carefully about how to deal with the relationship between him and Nangong Long. Mystical Research Society. Akame hugged Nangong Long's arm tightly, and Rias sat on the other side doing the same thing. Konako and Asia sat opposite. "What's wrong?" "I'm not going to run away, so there's no need to do this." "No," Akame retorted. Nangong Long looked at her and said teasingly, "You weren't so clingy to me before, you didn't even let me call you by your name." Akame glared at him unhappily. "It's all your fault. If you had told me at the beginning, how could I be so cold to you?" Then, Akame leaned close to his ear and whispered, "If you hadn't told me, how could I have let Rias run ahead?" "What are you talking about?" Rias stared at Akame suspiciously. "This is not over yet, King Na and Zhen Luo Chunji are here again. Congratulations on your victory, Rias. Now you don't have to marry someone you don't like." Then, King Na changed the subject. "Can you explain to me what you said before the game?" Rias rolled her eyes and looked at Sana and smiled, "I am already his in every sense of the word." King Na frowned. "Did it?" Luckily Asia didn't really understand, or else she would have burst into tears again. Rias smiled and nodded. She thought Sana would be very angry, but Sana's reaction was completely different from what she imagined. King Na's frown relaxed and she said slowly, "I have thought of this kind of thing. After all, I know Long's personality of picking up girls everywhere. But I didn't expect you to act so quickly. Let's forget about this for now. It's better to strike first. There are so many girls around Long, so we must grab a seat first, Rias said with a smile. Nangong Long pulled his arms out from the two men's arms and said with a smile, I like you all, and having a harem openly is one of my goals. Ah, I was taken in too, Aken Woyan chuckled. King Na's face turned slightly red and she didn't say anything, which was considered as her consent. Zhen Luo Chunji's face turned red and she couldn't speak. Asia muttered hesitantly. Senior is so philandering. Rias smiled. You're really greedy to confess to so many people at the same time. Nangong Long stood up and said, let's go celebrate together. 3 days later, the news that the White Dragon Emperor and the Red Dragon Emperor were the same person spread throughout the underworld. Soon this news reached other forces. Some were skeptical, while others did not believe it at all and thought it was pure nonsense. In short, Nangong Long completely appeared in the sight of all forces. Tianya Xi Ma, who worked with Euless, finally understood what Nangong Long had said to her before. She had never expected that the man she loved would have such a terrifying identity and strength. Chapter 27. Nangong Long's home. Rias has already moved all her luggage here and plans to live here for a long time. Akeno is naturally not willing to be outdone. Konako also brought her own luggage here. According to her, this is so that she can see her sister first when she comes back. As for whether she has other thoughts, it is hard to say. Asia looked unhappy with tears in her eyes and pouted her lips. Ah, this way, she would lose her advantage. What should she do? Should she sneak onto the bed? But this goes against the Lord's teachings. Ah, please forgive me, Lord. Asia touched her head in confusion. Why didn't it hurt? After being reincarnated as a demon, Asia's head would tingle every time she prayed unconsciously. Seeing Asia's strange behavior, Rias asked, Asia, what's wrong with you? It's so strange, I don't have a headache when I pray. Akeno stood up, bent down, touched Asia's forehead and said teasingly, you don't have a fever, why are you talking nonsense? How can the devil's prayer be okay? Is your brain hurting? Rias joked. Asia stared at them angrily with big eyes. It must be that God sensed my sincerity and that's why this happened. At this time, Nangong Long reached out and rubbed Asia's hair and said with a sly smile, I am not a god. The others were stunned, but Rias was the first to react and said in disbelief, you mean you did this? Yes, how did you do that? Akeno asked immediately. Nangong Long smiled and said casually, I also have an acquaintance in the heavens. I can ask her to slightly modify the operating system, and Asia will not have a headache when she prays. Senior, will God allow this? Nangong Long glanced at Asia and said, what I'm going to say next is going to be quite stimulating for you, but you'd better not get too excited. Asia looked at him in confusion. What's up? Afterwards, Nangong Long turned his head and looked at the kitten and said, this does not require God's permission, he has already died. What? Everyone exclaimed, especially Asia, who covered her mouth with an expression of disbelief. How could this be? Miracles clearly existed in the church before. In fact, both the gods and the devil died in the previous war, otherwise how could the war end? It's just that the three major forces tacitly blocked the news in order to avoid the invasion of other mythological systems. The best proof is your own divine weapon, Asia. It cannot be used to heal demons. This is because the death of God caused a loophole in the system that maintains the operation of the end world. Asia grabbed the corner of her clothes and asked with tears in her eyes, then why do miracles happen? After God's death, the seraphim Michael will manage the system on God's behalf. Asia remained silent, and seeing this, Nangong Long gently hugged her. Rias took a deep breath to calm herself down from the shocking news. Long, why do you know so much? I have acquaintances in all three major forces, so I'll naturally know. It seems that your friends are all of high status, Rias said. Nangong Long did not reply. After a long while, Asia said softly, I'm fine at this time. The door was opened and a beautiful girl with cat ears walked in. Meow, you kidnapped so many kids while I was away. The second half of Hij's sentence became a little mechanical. She saw her sister. She thought her sister would be very scared and disgusted when she saw her, but the reality was completely different from what she thought. The kitten stood up and ran to her, throwing himself into her arms and hugging her tightly. Meow, meow. Hij was a little confused. This reaction was wrong. I'm sorry, sister. Meow. I'm sorry. The kitten kept saying. Kuriko looked puzzled. Bian, what's wrong with you? Please stop crying. The kitten looked up at his sister. Senior, you have already told me everything. It's all my fault. Seeing Hij shift his gaze towards him, Nangong Long shrugged his shoulders and said, do whatever you want, I've already said it. Seeing Nangong Long acting like a rogue, Heiji rolled his eyes at him in anger, and then began to comfort his sister. After introducing both parties to each other, seeing that the atmosphere had returned to what it was before, Nangong Long decided to change the topic. Hij, how long do you plan to stay this time? Hij rolled her eyes and decided to retaliate against him for his rogue behavior. She then threw herself on him and said with a sweet smile, I'm not leaving, meow, I want to give birth to a dragon son, you can do whatever you want. Hearing Hij's words, the faces of the others suddenly changed. Hij watched this scene with great interest. Why did Bian's expression change? Could it be that her sister also? It's incredible that two sisters actually fell in love with the same person. Thinking of this, Hij gave Nangong Long a coquettish look, as if to say you got a good deal. If anyone wants to give birth, it should be me. Long and I have done it many times. Rias shouted even though her face was red. Akeno then joins the battle. So what? It's not like you'll get pregnant if you do it more. I'll definitely be the first one to give birth to a baby. Asia, pinching the corner of her clothes, cried with tears in her eyes, The kitten stroked her belly with her hand and lowered her head. It seemed that it would be nice to give birth to the good child of the predecessor. Nangong Long glared at Hij, and Hij stuck out his tongue and looked at him with smiling eyes. Nangong Long clapped his hands and said helplessly, how about we discuss this later? Let's go out for a walk first. The girls stopped arguing and turned their attention to him. Why? Since there are so many people in my family, I decided to expand the house. Where else would you live? Hij laughed and said, I don't need a room, I just want to sleep in the same bed with you. Then I want one too. You. Finally, after Nangong Long's comfort, the girls stopped arguing and went out with him. The girls knew that if they continued to quarrel, Nangong Long would be unhappy, and no one wanted that, so as long as they did not fall behind, it would be fine. Of course, they still had to work hard when they could sneak ahead. Chapter 28. Ryu, how about I ask my family to help build the house quickly? Rias suggested. No, I've already arranged this. Since Yuri wasn't at home, he sent her to inform Demiurge of this matter. Afterwards, Nangong Long took Rias and the others to many places to play and did not return home until the evening. At this time, his home was no longer the ordinary two-story building before, but a large villa with 7 floors above ground and 3 floors underground. Asia stared at the house in front of her with wide eyes. Is this our new home? Nangong Long smiled and nodded. It was built so quickly, and we were only out for half a day, Asia said in amazement. It's very common, it's easy as long as you use the devil's technology, Rias explained with a smile. Amazing. Asia has only been a demon for a short time. You will know all these things in the future. At this moment, the door suddenly opened and a group of maids walked out and stood respectfully on both sides. Yuri, who was standing at the head of the team, took the lead and said, Welcome home, sir. The maids bent down and started talking as well, until Nangong Long walked into the room, then they stood up and followed him. After returning to the house, all the maids except Yuri returned to their respective posts. Seeing the incredibly beautiful maids, Rias and the others felt a strong sense of crisis. Yuri, what's going on? Yuri glanced at Rias and the others and her meaning was self-evident. Rias and the others naturally realized that there were some things that Yuri was not convenient to say in front of them, so they stood up and said that they wanted to visit the new house and planned to leave here temporarily to avoid embarrassing Nangong Long, otherwise everyone would be embarrassed. Nangong Long did not let them leave, but looked at Yuli and smiled, it's okay, they are all family. Hearing this, the girls were delighted. Yuri bowed respectfully and said, I was worrying too much. It's your duty, I understand, don't blame yourself. Thank you, sir. Yuri then began to explain the reason why there were so many maids. Albedo and the other masters believe that maids are necessary. Otherwise, it will damage the reputation of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, 10 ordinary maids from Nazarick are randomly selected to serve you. What was the reaction of the maids who were not chosen? Of course, I regret not being able to serve you. Is that so? Then we'll take turns so everyone has a chance. Yes, I will convey your order right away. The girls had a lot of questions, but they didn't ask actively. They thought it was better not to ask too much about these things. Nangong Long would tell them naturally when he wanted to. Nangong Long looked at them and smiled, I will take you to the great tomb of Nazarick later. That is my base camp. Big tomb? Does it have any special meaning? Rias asked puzzledly. Nangong Long walked up to her, pinched her cheek and said with a smile, it's up to you to figure this out. Nangong Long let go of his hand and said loudly, take a shower and go to bed. We'll talk about it tomorrow. As soon as he finished speaking, a maid came to lead the way. Wait me a moment. State. The bathroom in the new house is big enough for everyone to take a shower together. While no one else was paying attention, Hij quietly ran behind Nangong Long and hugged him. Before she could do anything, the kitten swam over. Just now Xiao Mao was arguing with the minister and others about who would sleep in the same bed with Nangong Long tonight, when he suddenly found that his sister had disappeared without a trace, and a bad premonition came to his mind. Sure enough, after looking around, she found her sister talking to her senior. Sister, what are you doing? The kitten said angrily. Hij said calmly, of course, I do what I love. The other girls also noticed this, and then came over and surrounded Nangong Long. Chapter 29. Mystical Research Society. My brother is planning to hold a welcome party for you. Many nobles from the underworld will attend. Do you want to go? Rias asked Nangong Long. Go ahead. This is also a good opportunity to warn other nobles not to target you. You are mine, Nangong Long said with a smile. Rias blushed slightly. Then let's set off tomorrow. The next day, Yugong Long and his group arrived at the Gremory mansion in the Great Underworld. In the dressing room, Rias and Zhu Sanlingson were choosing a dress for Nangong Long to attend the banquet. How about this one? Rias asked Akeno for her opinion. It doesn't seem to match. What do you think of mine? No. Then let's look for it. After choosing for a long time, the two finally found a dress that they both liked for Nangong Long to wear. Good. Rias and Akeno nodded in satisfaction. Long, what do you think? Rias asked. Very good. Hearing this, Rias and the others smiled, and then Nangong Long, who had put on his dress, sat on the sofa and watched the girls choose dresses. Asia and Konako walked into the dressing room with the clothes they had picked out. Finally, everyone changed their clothes and headed towards the room where the banquet was to be held. Rias held Nangong Long's arm, and the other girls followed behind. Today was a banquet held by the Gremory family, which was very important to Rias, so the girls did not compete with Rias for this position. They were the last to arrive at the venue, as the rest of the participants had already arrived early. Is that man the Seker Uti? Isn't it said that he is also the host of the White Dragon King? It's incredible. The nobles of the underworld were discussing Nangong Long's identity, but at this time someone noticed that Hij following behind him was the rogue demon who killed his master and escaped a year ago. Some people choose to wait and see without saying anything, while others can't help but jump out and call for help. Red Dragon Emperor, the person following you is a wanted criminal from the underworld, right? A demon pointed at Hij and asked. It was going to happen. Surtsks, who was sitting in the first seat, just wanted to stand up to stop him, but Ajika beside him held him down and shook his head at him, signaling him not to make a move for the time being. Ajika wanted to know what Nangong Long would do at this time. To put it bluntly, it was to test his bottom line. Kurika didn't react much, but the other girls became a little nervous. Anxious Rias kept winking at her brother, but Surtsk seemed not to see it. Before coming here, Hij took the initiative to say that she would not attend the party because she would definitely be recognized. After all, what she did caused a big sensation in the underworld. However, Nangong Long rejected her proposal. If anyone dared to cause trouble, Nangong Long would definitely make him suffer an unforgettable memory that would be worse than death. So what? Nangong Long said calmly. If so, of course you have to hand her over. Oh, what do you want me to do if I don't hand it over? Hey? If you don't hand it over, you will be the enemy of the entire underworld. Nangong Long looked at him with disdain. You are so self-satisfied. Who do you think you are to represent the entire underworld? You. The demon that jumped out was so angry that he couldn't speak. Nangong Long pulled Hij in front of him, glanced at the demons around him, and spoke in an extremely domineering tone. She's mine, you better not have any bad ideas, otherwise I don't mind going to war with the entire underworld. Ravel, who was a little further away, looked at Nangong Long with shining eyes. The demons were completely furious. This was a blatant slap in the face on their territory. Too arrogant, do you really think we are afraid of you? How dare you, alone, go against the entire underworld? You are seeking death. You have to hand it in today, whether you want to or not is up to you. The demon kings sitting in the first seats also started talking. Chapter 30. Is it an impulse or is there some hidden card? Ajika said. Nangong Long is not an impulsive person. I prefer the latter, replied Surtsks. You have great courage, Fall Baiwan. To be honest, I'm a little envious of that Nikomata, Serafla said with a smile. Hij stared at Nangong Long in a daze. She had never expected that he would go against the entire underworld for her. Rias showed a worried expression and pulled Nangong Long's clothes to stop him from continuing. Akeno and the others also showed worried expressions, and looked at Hij with some envy. Seeing that Nangong Long was about to clash with the devil, Kwana quickly brought her followers and squeezed through the crowd to his side. The meaning was self-evident. Calm down, Hij will be fine, there's no need to offend them. I understand what you mean, but why should I do such a troublesome thing? Even if the Demon King shows up, they will only agree on the surface. Who knows what shady tricks they will play behind the scenes? I hate trouble and I don't want to give them face. Nangong Long did not lower his voice at all, so all the demons in the venue heard what he said. King Na looked anxious but didn't know how to persuade him. After all, what he said was true. Nangong Long looked at the girls around him and gave them a reassuring look. Demiurge stood up and walked down from the main seat. His face no longer had the usual elegance, only coldness and ruthlessness. He could no longer tolerate these ants calling out for weapons in front of the Supreme Lord. Even if it violated the Lord's orders and exposed their identities, he would take action. Seeing Demiurge take action, Cocytus immediately followed. Demiurge, what are you going to do? Ajika asked with a frown. Demiurge ignored everyone around him and walked straight towards the Supreme Lord. Hey, why did my sister run over there? Siraflor wanted to run down and bring her lovely sister over, but before she could do anything, Falzuin stopped her. What are you doing? Seraflu asked with a frown. Just wait and see, your sister will be fine. I have a bad feeling. This is the first time I see Demiurge with this expression, Ajika said in a low voice. Seeing the Demon King coming, the demons made way. They thought that the Demon King disliked Nangong Long and was going to teach him a lesson himself, but what happened next stunned everyone. Demiurge and Cocytus knocked away several of the most powerful demons. It was not because they were merciful that they did not kill them directly. Song did not want to live in the eyes of adults. Then, Demiurge knelt on one knee to apologize, and Cocytus did the same. I cannot tolerate this bunch of rubbish being disrespectful to you, sir. I have ruined your plan, please punish me. Please punish me, sir. The demons can no longer sit still, this incident is out of control. What are you doing, Demiurge? Surtsks asked. Nangong Long didn't say anything, so Demiurge naturally ignored him and continued kneeling on one knee. Nangong Long looked at Demiurge and the other man and said, you completed your mission very well. Whether you were exposed or not doesn't make any difference, so I won't punish you severely this time. Just clear out these annoying guys and that's it. Thank you for your forgiveness, I will do it right away. Demiurge and Cocytus stood up and looked at the demons around them. Those of you who didn't say anything just now, please stand aside. Accidental injuries are common. Seeing that Demiurge was about to take action, Surtsks immediately appeared in front of him. Demiurge, what do you mean? Demiurge raised his hand to adjust his glasses and said with a smile, Surzax, I'm sorry, I have always been your subordinate. I became a demon king only to fulfill the mission of the gods. The demons around were shocked. No, to be more precise, they were horrified beyond words. The demon king of the underworld was actually someone else's subordinate, and he became the demon king just because of orders. Surzax, I recognize your abilities and strength. Do you want to come to our side? I'm sorry, it's an honor to have your recognition, but I can't join you. There are some things only I can do. The other demon kings came over and stood beside Surtsks to confront Demiurge. At the same time, Hij leaned close to Nangong Long and whispered, it's hidden really deep, amazing. Meow. Nangong Long touched Hij's cat ears and said with a smile, it's not a bad thing to be exposed, so that even the small fry won't dare to challenge me. King Na took a deep breath and said slowly, is that so? The time I met you a year ago was almost the same as the time when the new Demon King rose up. Was that what you did during those few days you disappeared? I guess so, but I didn't do anything. I just gave the order. The rest is up to my subordinates to do. You trust your subordinates? Of course, I have great confidence in their ability and loyalty. Rias tried to calm herself down and looked at him, asking him, can we not fight? 307 I don't want either you or my brother to get hurt. Nangong Long patted her shoulder and comforted her, don't worry, I know my limits senior, do we have to fight, the kitten said worriedly. I can't give in at this time. If I don't, people will look down on me. Besides, why should I back down when I'm sure I'll win? Asia put her hands together in front of her chest and looked at him and said, come on, I'll pray for you even if old God is alive, he won't bless my Asia, Nangong Long complained silently in his heart. Akeno walked up to him and whispered, if you want to fight, you must win. If you win, I don't care what you do. To be honest, I really don't want to fight with you, Surtsks. After all, you are not yet a candidate for the princess, Demiurge said with a smile. Sister, come here quickly, Serafla waved to Sana. King Na looked at her sister and shook her head without any intention of leaving. Nangong Long walked in front of Demiurge and the other man. Don't worry, I, Nangong Long, am not so shameless as to take a woman as a hostage. Go out and fight. Although the construction speed of the underworld is very fast, I still don't want to destroy Liu's home. Chapter 31. Everyone in the venue walked out of the Gremory mansion and came to the open space. My lord, just stand there and watch. I will deal with them right away, said Demiurge. No, I'll take care of Ajika and Surtsks, you guys take care of the others. Nangong Long walked straight towards them. He had never fought against a transcendent since he came to this world, and all his previous judgments were based on the strength of Tian Long. Therefore, this time he decided to take action himself. Akeno stopped Asia from saying something. At this time, all we can do is wait here for him to return triumphantly. We can put everything else in our hearts and wait for him to come back. Hij was also saying something similar to Konako, and Sana also waved her hand to stop her followers. After hearing Nangong Long's words, Surtsks and Ajika took the initiative to move away from the main force. They didn't know Nangong Long's strength, but they had a certain understanding of how strong Demon King Demiurge and Insect King Cocytus were. Nangong Long, who could make them loyal, must be even stronger. The essence of this world is the law of the jungle, and no strong person would be willing to work under the weak. Surtsks and the others could clearly see that Demiurge and the other two were willing to submit. Judging from their expressions, their loyalty could even be described as crazy. Just because the devil shouted at them in the language, they were willing to expose themselves to maintain the dignity of the adults. Of course, Demiurge would not oppose the adults' decision, not to mention that the other party did not have the ability to harm the adults. Nangong Long had already started to take action, and Demiurge could not just sit there and watch. Naturally, he had to take action to teach these ungrateful guys an unforgettable lesson. But before that, he had to do another thing first. Demiurge turned around and bowed to Rias and the others. He was very respectful to the candidates for the princess. Since the princess candidates are unwilling to leave here, please stay where you are and watch. My subordinates will protect you. If you are hurt in the slightest, I will die as an apology. Before, Nangong Long intended to let Rias and the others stay in a safe place and not step into the battlefield, but the girls firmly disagreed and insisted on going forward and backward with him, which was one of the reasons why Demiurge respected them. Regardless of their strength, they were qualified to become princesses if they had the heart, and protecting the adults was his mission. The girls were stunned. They could see that Demiurge was serious and there was no falsehood in his words. This made them realize once again that the man in front of them was extremely loyal to Nangong Long. King Na took a deep breath and said slowly, I didn't see where the Demon King's subordinates were. Subordinates are naturally available at any time. Demiurge turned around and faced the enemy, unleashing his special skill, summoning countless demons to gain an overwhelming advantage in numbers. The demons present looked at this scene in horror. Great, meow really? I must ask clearly when I get back, King Na said helplessly. Calling us the princess candidate, I guess Long has a lot of subordinates, Akeno guessed, then turned to look at Kurika and asked, You've been with dragons for a long time, do you know anything? Wow! I only know that the great tomb of Nazarick exists, but I don't know exactly how many people there are. Have you seen him transform into a dragon? Hij asked. Forbidden move. When Hij saw their expressions, he knew that they had never seen it before, and he couldn't help but feel secretly happy. Isn't it? Rias asked with a frown. Hij nodded, but she didn't explain. For the time being, let's just keep this as a little secret between her and Long. The girls were going to ask more questions, but the sound of fighting coming from Nangong Long attracted their attention. A little bit earlier in time, what exactly is your purpose? Ajika asked with a frown. Sek, the only thing I can tell you right now is that I have no ill will towards you. As for what has happened now, it is entirely because someone has caused trouble for me and you have done nothing. What does it have to do with me? How can it be okay? Didn't you stop Sertx when he wanted to stop the demon? Why are you pretending to know nothing now? Nangong relation. We can't not fight, I promise nothing will happen to Kurika, Sertx said solemnly. Nangong Long shrugged and replied, I've already given the answer to this question before. Partner, let's begin. I awaken to, the two dragons who were deprived of everything by the principle of hegemony, the two dragons who took the principle of hegemony from God. The body is full of jealousy, the mind seeks fantasy, sneers at the infinite, worries about fantasy. I shall be the most tyrannical of the white dragons, I shall be the most tyrannical of the red dragons. Invite you to enter the limit of innocence. Sink you into the red lotus purgatory. Arubian and Drake's voices rang out together. A white and ochre red aura burst out, and the light flashed through the red and white armor that covered Nangong Long's entire body, with black patterns on it. At this moment, not only did Sertx and the other man feel the overwhelming pressure, but even the demons in the distance also felt the terrifying momentum. The demons who had been shouting so loudly just now were already trembling all over. If they had known this would happen, they would not have been the first to speak out. The demons who had not spoken a word from beginning to end quietly retreated. They still remembered what Demiurge had said before, so they would hide aside now so as not to be implicated. Fall Baiwen and Seraflu's expressions became more and more solemn, but they couldn't rush over to help, after all, they still had to hold off Demiurge. As for taking down the other two, they didn't even consider it. They had heard about Demiurge's strength from Sertx, and had originally wanted to rely on their numbers to defeat him, but the other party summoned so many demon subordinates that their plans were disrupted. You can even use Tyrannosaurus together? It's really surprising. You are able to control two opposite forces to this extent. It's really surprising, or more accurately terrifying, said Sertx with emotion. Don't admire your opponent at this time, just find a way to solve it quickly, Ajika said seriously. Chapter 32. Why don't you transform, Sertx? Nangong Long laughed. You know so much. After sighing, Sertx took off his coat and began to increase his magic power. The destructive magic power emanating from him dyed his body bright red. At this moment, the ground began to shake, followed by cracks, and everything around him began to disappear, and the terrifying magic power fluctuations spread all around. When the bright red flames completely enveloped Sertx, what appeared before Nangong Long's eyes was a human-shaped flame of destruction. Nangong Long's transformation did not destroy the surrounding things, not because he was weaker than Sertx, but because he could skillfully control his own power. That's right, otherwise there would be no point in fighting. Sertx, who had transformed into the incarnation of destruction, stared at Nangong Long and said, after becoming like this, I can no longer fully control my destructive magic, and things around me will keep disappearing. Just try if you can destroy me, Nangong Long laughed. Then he raised his right hand and pointed it at Sertx and the other man. Terrifying magic power instantly condensed in his hand, and then fired, splitting into two beams of magic cannon on the way and attacking the two people respectively. Sertx directly condensed the destructive magic power to offset the magic cannon, while Aja kept manipulating the magic circle in front of him to deflect the magic cannon and shoot it into the sky. Bajin's equation is indeed interesting. Nangong Long didn't even look at it and simply raised his left hand to the side, weakening the magic cannon controlled by Ajika until it disappeared. Divide, divide, divide. Don't take my moves for granted when you use them against me. Ajika gave a bitter smile. Having the ability to both multiply and weaken at the same time was really too shameless. Nangong Long instantly disappeared from his original position and appeared in front of Sertx, swinging his fist. Sertx hurriedly retreated and condensed dozens of destructive magic bullets and threw them at Nangong Long. Divide, divide, divide. Seeing this, Sertx also understood that ordinary magic bullets of destruction would no longer be effective against Nangong Long, and he could only use attacks with higher density and stronger destructive power. Surtsks dodged the attack while gathering even more terrifying magic power. Ajika was desperately calculating something, trying to develop a magic circle specifically to deal with Nangong Long. After finally gathering enough magic power, Surtsks shot the magic bullet in his hand at the opponent. This time, Nangong Long did not use his ability to reduce the magic bullet but directly grabbed the magic bullet with his bare hands. The armor did begin to dissipate, but it immediately returned to its original state under Nangong Long's terrifying magic power. As long as the host's physical strength and magic power are not exhausted, the armor can be restored countless times. Nangong Long crushed the magic bullet in his hand with force, and the destructive magic dissipated in the air. In fact, he had the ability to reduce this attack to nothing. After all, his strength far exceeded that of Surtsks, so there was no reason why he couldn't reduce it, but he didn't do so because he wanted to experience the destructive magic bullet. Seeing Nangong Long destroy his attack so roughly and simply, Surtsks was stunned, and even Ajika, who was calculating, paused. The other side, the masters have already started. Let's do it too, Cocytus, Demiurge said with a smile. Demiurge versus Seraflu, Cocytus versus Falbuin. Demiurge and his men didn't need to be fully armed to deal with two people who hadn't even reached the level of a transcendent. The demon servants summoned by Demiurge also joined the battle. Taking advantage of the extremely chaotic scene, the demon generals hiding in the dark and on standby also quietly mixed into the battlefield, which directly led to Serafla's side being suppressed. Rias and the others, who were protected by layers of demon servants, looked worried. This destructive magic power must be from my brother. How can his painting be so strong? Rias said with a tone of worry and surprise. The other two auras are also terrifyingly strong, I hope nothing happens to them. Junai looked worried. Is this a battle at the level of a transcendent? Too terrifying! Hij exclaimed. Asia put her hands together in front of her chest and prayed silently, while Kitty looked into the distance with a worried look on her face. Sana was worried about both sides. One side was the person she loved, and the other side was her sister in front of her. She could also see that Demiurge was not using his full strength, otherwise her sister would have been defeated soon. Falbuin on the side was in an even worse situation. Cocytus only ensured that the attack would not kill the opponent, and other than that he showed no mercy. The rest of the demon nobles were also beaten badly. Originally, they could still suppress the demon servants, but as soon as the demon generals joined in, they were the ones to be beaten, not to mention that the demon servants had an overwhelming advantage in numbers. Demiurge didn't care about the casualties of the demon servants at all. He could just summon them if he wanted. They were just consumables. If the demon general died, he would still feel sad, but that was impossible. Those who were capable of killing the demon general were already restrained. President, everything will be okay, right? Sister Genluo couldn't help but ask. Ria Kisashida and the others also looked at the president worriedly. It's definitely okay. You've known him for so long, have you ever seen him do anything he's unsure of? Soon, the battle here was over. Demons fell to the ground in large numbers. Falbuin also fell to the ground covered with wounds. Serafla fell to the ground with her physical strength and magic power exhausted. The field after the battle between the two sides became a mess, with countless holes of various sizes. Seeing that the battle was over, Ni hurried to his sister and helped her up. Sister, how are you? Seraflu smiled bitterly and said, I'm fine, I just ran out of energy. The gap is too big. I'm afraid only Surtsks can fight against it. Fortunately, Demiurge didn't take it seriously, otherwise I would have to leave you. Demiurge held his eyes and smiled, my lord, I have no intention to annihilate the demons. It's just that some people don't know what's good for them and become like this. Besides, you are the sister of the princess candidate, so I will naturally not hurt you for long. Chapter 33. It seems like I'm still benefiting from you, but you didn't even tell me when you were with him, Serafla said with a sad face. Dare I tell you, sister, don't you have any idea, King Na complained in her heart. Given how much Serafla dotes on her, if she were to tell her that she has a boyfriend, she would definitely go straight to his door. Realizing that the battle on the other side had ended, Nangong Long decided not to continue playing. It's time for our fight to end. The next move will decide the outcome. If you can't block it, someone will die, Chen Zix, Nangong Long said with a smile. Surtsks and Ajika's faces instantly tensed up, and everyone knew that the other party was about to use a big move. The armor on Nangong Long's chest made a metallic sound and began to slide, revealing the firing port. The powerful magic energy gathered towards the muzzle on his chest, and the terrifying energy waves were shocking. Surtsk also took the time to gather a high density of destructive magic bullets in front of him, while Ajika quickly calculated the magic circle. Longinus Smasher, a huge and thick red gas cannon, shot at Surtsk and the other person. At the same time, Surtsk also threw out the destructive magic bullet that he had concentrated all his strength on. Ajika tried desperately to deflect it, and his efforts did have some effect, but the deflected gas cannon was immediately corrected and continued to shoot at the two people. It was obvious that Nanlong's attack had exceeded the upper limit of his calculation. The magic bullet of destruction collided with the red gas cannon. The two were in a stalemate for only a moment before the magic bullet of destruction was defeated and the gas cannon continued to move forward. Surtsk returned to his normal state and fell to the ground with Ajika. The gas cannon began to spread, dyeing the purple sky of the underworld red. Even Rias and the others who were far away could clearly see the red sky, and they also felt the terrifying power fluctuations just now. Is it over? Akeno muttered to herself. I guess so, Hij responded. Surtsk, who fell to the ground, smiled bitterly. My dear friend, your strength is not even in the same dimension. Yet, if I had known this would happen I wouldn't have stopped you. You tried to test my bottom line and now you've lost everything, Ajika said self-deprecatingly. Nangong Long flapped his dragon wings and flew to land near the two people. It's over yet, what are you going to do with us? Surtsk asked calmly. Disposal? You're overthinking it. From the beginning to the end, I just wanted to teach those guys who overestimate their own abilities a lesson. It was you who had to step forward and take the lead. Otherwise, how could it turn out like this? Surtsk and the other man looked at each other with a helpless look on their faces. They had to come out, after all, they were the Demon King. Nangong Long ignored the two of them and picked them up one in each hand and flew back to the other side of the battlefield. Wumiao, look, is there anything flying over there? Hij said, pointing to the sky. $71. Before Zhenluo Chunji finished speaking, Nangong Long had already landed in front of them and put the Demon King in his hand aside. Rias hurried over and asked anxiously, Brother, how are you? Surtsk reluctantly sat up and smiled at his sister, You found a great man. Rias blushed. Brother, is this the time to talk about this? The injuries sustained by the four Demon Kings did not have much impact. They recovered quickly with the tears of the Phoenix. As for their physical strength and magic power, they needed time to recover. This incident was completely blocked by the demon high-level officials. After all, it would be bad if such a serious situation was known by other forces. Of course, they did this for another purpose, which was to prevent other forces from knowing Nangong Long's strength. The demons couldn't be the only ones to suffer, so they had to drag others into the water. Demiurge's position as the Demon King has not changed. This is the result of a joint discussion between the four great Demon Kings and the demon high-ranking officials. There are 3 reasons. First, Nangong Long has no hostility towards demons, and abolishing Demiurge's position as the Demon King might annoy them. Second, Nangong Long has a close relationship with Rias and Sana, and they might become allies. Third, the news has been blocked from the outside world. If Demiurge's position as the Demon King is suddenly abolished, it will definitely arouse suspicion from other forces, and it will be difficult to ensure that the information will not be leaked. There were still some casualties in this incident. The demons who had been provoking Nangong Long were badly injured, and those who survived were left with serious psychological trauma. There was nothing that could be done about it. Demiurge would not allow the ants who had provoked him to continue to live in the world intact. Nangong Long did not say anything about this. Even though the incident was so serious, no one died. There would still be people who would come out to look for Yang. Anyway, he would not die, so what was there to be afraid of? 0.4 The demon high UPS didn't care about the dead demons. Ultimately, they were asking for death. They didn't think carefully before doing anything and blindly believed in their own strength to provoke people of unknown strength. This was also a warning to all demons not to continue to be arrogant. After the incident, the banquet could not continue, but the demon high-ranking officials would no longer look down on Nangong Long as they did before. After all, they had learned a painful lesson. Before parting, Surtsk said that he would find an opportunity to hold the banquet again in the future. In this way, Nangong Long and his group returned to the human world to continue their school life. Not long after, King Na and Zhenluo Chunji also moved into his home. Chapter 34. Komayo Academy. Hij suddenly appeared when Nangong Long was alone and pulled him to a deserted place. Hij held him and raised his head and said, "Hurry up and go home, or just go somewhere else where there's no one. I know you have the ability to do this, so don't refuse me." Nangong Long stroked Hij's cat ears and said with a smile, "I didn't say anything, and this is why you don't go to school with us." Kurika showed a matter-of-fact expression. "If I go to school, I won't have this opportunity. I want to get there first while they are in class." "Hurry up, meow," Hij urged. Looking at Hij, who looked impatient, Nangong Long smiled and cast a transfer magic to return home. Seeing the familiar furnishings in front of him, Ge immediately pulled Nangong Long towards his room. 24. As soon as he arrived in the room, Hij opened his closet and looked at Nangong Long. "Which one you like, I'll give it to you. I've been collecting them for a long time, meow." After making love, Ge lay on Nangong Long's chest and looked at him with a smile. Due to excessive physical exertion, Hij felt a little sleepy and couldn't help yawning. "Let me sleep for a while." Nangong Long disappeared at school, and Rias and the others were naturally puzzled, but they were not too worried. After all, they had a certain understanding of his strength from the previous battle in the underworld. When they returned home in the evening, they found out what had happened. Hij sat lazily at the dining table with Nangong Long, waiting for them to come back. They didn't think anything of it until after dinner, when Hij got up and returned to his room. The strange steps immediately attracted the girl's attention. Rias understood what was going on at a glance. After all, she had experienced this kind of thing before. They were all sisters living under the same roof, and they all knew each other's thoughts. Rias wasn't too angry about this sort of thing, as it was only a matter of time, not to mention that she was already in the front. Akame walked over to Kurika and asked quietly, "Did you do it?" Hij nodded without feeling embarrassed at all. "Looks like I have to hurry up," Akame thought. Except for Asia, who was confused and continued to act as usual, the other girls returned to their rooms with their own plans. The next day, Rias was training with her group for the upcoming Kyo Academy Ball Skills competition, and the student council was also doing the same exercises on the other side. Both sides were vying for Nangong Long as their team member, but in the end neither side was able to convince the other, so both sides had no choice but to decide that Nangong Long would not join either side. Nangong Long, who had nothing to do, immediately admired the girls in training. They had really great figures. In the end, the two sides of the ball skills competition ended in a tie. After all, ordinary rackets could not withstand the power of the devil. Mystical Research Society Sana came here with Shinra Tsubaki to tell Rias some information. "Church members have infiltrated this town and they want to reach you." Rias frowned. "Why do people from the church want me to do that?" "I don't know. They didn't tell me, so it must be a confidential matter." Nangong Long, who was enjoying a kitten massage, explained, "The church's holy sword is lost. I guess they are here to look for the criminal." Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that the holy sword that was protected by the church would be lost. King Na smiled and said, "It's really surprising, but I'm even more surprised that you know such a confidential matter." Compared to the girl's surprise, Kaiba's face became a little ferocious. This was a knot in his heart, and Nangong Long couldn't say anything. He thought he couldn't do it directly. He hadn't experienced other people's things, so how could he persuade others to let go? That was just talking without any pain. Fortunately, after this incident, Kaiba will usher in a new life. "Do you know who the criminal is?" Rias asked. Nangong Long ate the fruit that Akame handed to him and said, "The mastermind behind this is one of the fallen angels' leaders, the 10-winged fallen angel Cockabell. Even the characters recorded in the Bible appear." "It's really a headache," said King Na, rubbing her brows. Aside from the fact that the news was somewhat surprising, Rias did not show the slightest bit of worry. "Since he's here, why are you worried?" Rias pointed at Nangong Long and said to King Na, "That's right." King Na nodded in agreement. Chapter 35. The next day, Shido, Irina, and Zenovia came to Kyo Academy to visit Rias. As soon as she entered the room, Irina saw Nangong Long sitting on the sofa, and then she pounced on him, so Nangong Long had to stand up and catch her. "Darling, I miss you so much, darling." The girls in the room frowned when they heard this name. "The tomboy has now turned into a beautiful girl," Nangong Long teased while hugging her. Don't talk about that." Irina looked at him angrily with a red face. Rias tapped the table and said with a half-smile, "Can you explain what this is?" Akame, who was standing next to her, also agreed with a smile, but the aura she exuded was not so friendly. The kitten stopped eating snacks and looked directly at the two people hugging each other. Asia had tears in her eyes and rubbed the corners of her clothes with her hands. Irina looked at everyone with full of momentum without any fear and said in a complacent tone, "Darling and I are childhood sweethearts. We knew each other earlier than any of you." Before coming here to carry out the mission, Irina had already received certain intelligence support from the church's top brass. After all, it was an extremely dangerous mission, and if the intelligence was not up to date, the chances of success would be even lower. Childhood sweetheart. Rias looked at Irina with suspicion, then looked at Nangong Long with a questioning look. "Yes, we knew each other when we were kids, but later she moved away because of something." Irina gave them a smug look. "Oh, you really are childhood sweethearts. But I wonder if you have ever heard a saying?" Akame said with a malicious smile. "What, life's loser childhood sweetheart? Impossible, darling, and I have already agreed." Before Irina could finish her words, Zenobia interrupted her. "Irina, let's put aside the reminiscing and don't forget our original purpose." 78 Afterwards, Irina, Zenobia, and Rias sat on the sofa facing each other. Irina explained to Rias the purpose of her visit, which was roughly the same as what Nangong Long had said before, but in more detail. "In such a serious situation, why did you only send 2 of you?" Rias asked. "It's true that we sent a priest to investigate the situation, but we have lost contact with him now," Zenobia replied. "It's still just the 2 of you. We came here prepared, but we didn't intend to die. It seems that you are very confident in your own abilities. Never mind, this is not something I want to worry about. Just tell me what you want me to do." "The church hopes that the devil will not interfere in this matter," Rias said with a little anger. "The church suspects we have connections with the fallen angels. It's hard to say. After all, the destruction of the holy sword is also a good thing for the devil," Zenobia replied expressionlessly. Rias suppressed her anger and said, "I swear on the name of Gremory that this matter has nothing to do with us, and we will not interfere in this matter. That's all, Irina, let's go. See you next time, darling." Before leaving, Zenobia had one more thing to confirm, so she walked towards Asia. Before she could speak, Nangong Long spoke first. "You'd better not say anything excessive, otherwise your holy sword recovery mission might fail." Zenobia frowned and stared at Nangong Long and said, "Are you threatening me?" "Yeah, that's it. Even if you are the host of Tian Long, you can't fight against the entire church camp. What's more, I have always doubted that the host of Tian Long is the same person." Rias and Akame almost laughed out loud, as they are both one of the 3 major forces. How could angels be much stronger than demons? The demons were beaten, so there was no reason for angels to win. Is it true that you can experience it yourself? That's exactly what I meant. Irina pulled Zenovia's arm. There's no need to do this. It might even become the fuse for a war between the 2 forces. Our mission is just to retrieve the holy sword. It's okay, just treat it as a competition. It's just the 2 of us, so don't report it. And I also want to see what ability this man has that makes you keep thinking about him. Why are you saying this? Irina's face turned red instantly. In that case, let me be the vanguard, Mu Chong said expressionlessly, but his whole body was filled with murderous intent. It doesn't matter. Rias felt a headache, and Kaiba started to behave strangely after hearing about the holy sword. Everyone came to the open space. Kaiba faced off against Zenobia, and Nangong Long faced off against Irina. Originally, Irina didn't want to fight with him, but Nangong Long said that it was not a serious fight and he should just stop at the right time. By the way, let me see your growth. Only then did Irina nodded in agreement. Kaiba took the lead in launching the attack. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He wanted to destroy the holy sword to prove to the world the significance of his and his companion's existence. He wanted to surpass the holy sword together with his companion's will. Compared to the desperate fighting style of Kaiba, the atmosphere on Nangong Long's side was a bit weird. "Don't, pinch." Irina kept her distance and looked at Nangong Long with suspicion. "Darling, the growth you want to see is not my body, right?" Nangong Long shrugged and smiled. "Growth, of course, refers to all aspects." The battle on Kaiba's side was coming to an end, and Kaiba, who was blinded by hatred, naturally lost. "You, Li, don't even need to compete with my holy sword in terms of destructive power. You've completely given up your own advantage." After Zenobia finished speaking, she walked towards Nangong Long, while Asia and Konako ran towards Kaiba and started to treat him. I will be your opponent from now on. Don't you need Durandal? 1/7 of the holy sword is useless to me. Zenobia showed a look of surprise. You actually knew I could use Durandal, but I don't plan to use it. We're just sparring, not risking our lives. If I hurt you, Irina will go crazy. Gee, Nyo, Wei, ya. Irina stared at her and said word by word. Nangong Long just smiled and said nothing to Zenovia's words. A complete holy sword plus a powerful user might be of some use to him. Nangong Long said that he would have no problem catching a holy sword with only 1/7 of it left with his bare hands. Chapter 36. Genovia took the first step and Nangong Long dodged her attacks easily. Not only that, Nangong Long even took on some of the attacks with his bare hands. After several unsuccessful attacks, Zenovia pulled away and looked at him and said, "No more fighting, you are indeed very strong, it seems the rumors are still credible." Then Zenovia put away the holy sword and left with Irina. Kaiba also prepared to leave without saying a word. "Where are you going?" Rias looked sad. "I'm sorry, Minister. I escaped with the help of my companions, so I must take revenge and integrate my hatred into the magic sword." After saying this, Kaiba was about to leave, but Nangong Long's next words stopped him in his tracks. "Don't you want to know who ordered your destruction?" Mu Chang's expression changed and he stared at Nangong Long and asked, "Who is it? Let's go back to the club first and talk about it later." Kaiba took a deep breath and said only one word. "Good." Nangong Long walked up to Rias, stretched out his hands, pinched her pretty face and pulled it to both sides. "You Suzuki?" Rias said incoherently. "Smile, your family won't be lost." Screech, "Let me go." Rias rubbed her slightly red face, lowered her head and smiled a little foolishly. "It's so good to have you." Mystical Research Society 323. Nangong Long is explaining the so-called Holy Sword plan. Natural Holy Sword Masters are extremely rare, so the Church launched the Holy Sword Project to artificially create Holy Sword Masters. The person in charge of this project is Balba Galileo. The Archbishop, who is known as the Murderer. Kaiba clenched his fists and hatred gleamed in his eyes. He was the one who gave the order. Yes, but now he has been expelled by Michael. Expel? Why? Rias asked. In Balba's opinion, it is normal to get rid of the Kaiba people because they are no longer useful. But Michael is different. He is a good man and will not give such an order to massacre the believers. Where is Balba now? Kaiba tried his best to control his emotions and not get too excited. He has joined the fallen angels. He is involved in this incident, so even if you don't look for him, he will show up on his own. I see. As soon as Nangong Long saw Kaiba's expression, he knew that he planned to go find Balba alone. Balba will come to Juwang Academy. Instead of running around, you might as well adjust your condition and face the enemy with all your strength. Kaowu Academy? What is he doing here? Akeno asked, confused. His immediate boss is coming, so he has no choice but to follow him. That's about it. You'll understand the rest when they come. What, you're just saying halfway? Rias muttered with a pout. The next day, the girls gathered in the student union to discuss something. Seeing them pushing themselves out with blushing faces, Nangong Long felt that there might be some surprises. With nothing to do, Nangong Long started wandering the streets, planning to buy some gifts for the girls. Just when he was deciding whether to buy desserts or clothes, he suddenly saw someone begging. No, it might sound better to say that he was raising money for charity. Don't the people here have any mercy at all, said Zenovia. That's why I hate places without faith. I'm so hungry, Irina said angrily. It's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on buying this painting, we wouldn't be in such a predicament. Hey, this is a portrait of a saint, how can I not buy it? Never mind, I'll just perform for money. After all, it's internationally accepted and I should be able to make money. But we don't have any props. Yes, I used my holy sword to chop this rotten painting into perfection. Don't want. Irina hugged tightly the saint painting that she had spent a huge amount of money to buy. Nangong Long walked over and looked at them with amusement. The god will cry if he performs with the holy sword. Oh, great to see you here. Irina pounced on him directly. Take me out to eat, I'm so hungry. Please carry me, I have no strength left, Irina said coquettishly. Nangong Long picked up Irina and took Zenovia to the nearest fast food restaurant. The gazes from all around made Irina feel a little embarrassed, but she didn't want to leave this warm embrace, so she simply leaned her head on Nangong Long's chest and ignored the passers-by. Zenobia and Irina were fighting fiercely with the food. After finishing the food on the table, they said, "Thank you for the hospitality, God bless you." No god is as strong as Nangong Long, so a mere prayer will not have any effect on him at all. It's too tragic that you become like this after just one day of separation, Nangong Long said jokingly. Irina touched her cheek awkwardly to hide her embarrassment. Zenobia directly exposed Irina's past. "Look, it's this painting that made us like this." Irina still has no common sense as always. "This painting is obviously fake," Nangong Long said with a smile. Irina seemed to have received a huge blow and looked at him in disbelief. How so? Zenobia decisively cut the painting into pieces to vent her dissatisfaction. "Ah, don't!" Irina let out a painful wail. "Any progress on the mission?" "I have no clue at all. The priest in charge of intelligence has disappeared. Maybe he has been killed by the enemy," Irina replied. "I can help you." "Okay." Irina nodded without any hesitation. Zenobia looked at him and asked, "Why?" Nangong Long glanced at Irina and said with a smile, "I just don't want my childhood sweetheart to get hurt, or do you think I have some plans for the holy sword?" Zenobia replied with a serious expression, "No, I just want to know the reason, and I personally think that as the host of the second heavenly dragon, you would not be interested in the holy sword." Looking at the serious face of Jelovia, Nangong Long teased, "Indeed, I am more interested in you than in the sword." Before Zenobia could say anything, Irina said angrily with her eyes wide open, "I'm still here, you can flirt with my companion." "Zenobia, don't let him trick you away. Were you deceived yourself?" Irina was speechless. Chapter 37. In the evening, when Nangong Long returned home, he was slightly stunned by the scenery in front of him. "I saw that the girls at home were all naked in aprons." What surprised Nangong Long even more was that Kang Na, who usually had a serious face, was actually participating in it, and even Hua Ji Tao and others who did not live in his house were standing beside her at this moment. Come to think of it, the discussion location was at the student union, so how could Hua Ji Tao and the others be absent? "What are you guys up to?" Akeno walked up to him and said with a smile, 0830, you should be very happy, right? "That's right, I'm really happy." After playing for a while, everyone dispersed, and then the girls pulled Nangong Long to the dining table. "We each made a dish, you can try it," said Rias. Afterwards, everyone sat down around the dining table. This time there was no scramble. Sana and Rias sat on the left and right of Nangong Long, perhaps they had already discussed it beforehand. "Is it okay for you guys not to go home, Daisy?" "It's okay. We are here as a club training camp, so it's no problem for us to stay for a few days." 3 days later, Juwang College welcomed an unexpected guest. Kokabil brought Balpa and a strange man into the academy, who was probably a substitute for Fried. After all, Fried had been killed by Nangong Long before. With the power of the fallen angels, it was not difficult to find an exorcist who could withstand the adaptation factor of the holy sword. The strange man stuck the 3 holy swords into the ground and stepped aside. Fortunately, there were not many students today because it was a holiday, otherwise it would have been terrible. Since Nangong Long suggested that Irina and the others stay near the school, Irina was not injured. "It's really coming," Rias muttered to herself. Kang Na and her followers set up a large barrier to cover the entire school to prevent too much damage. Nangong Long thought it was okay not to set up a barrier, just kill the enemy before he could cause too much damage. "As a fallen angel executive, what exactly are you doing here?" Rias asked. Kokabil laughed. "Of course it's to start a war. If I kill you, your brother the Demon King will be furious too." Kokabil dared to say this because he was not clear about Nangong Long's strength. The intelligence obtained by other forces was not comprehensive. They only knew that he was strong but had no idea how strong he was. Rias and the others were stunned. They had thought of many possibilities but had never thought that the other party wanted to start a war. After all, the 3 forces suffered heavy losses in the previous war and have not recovered until now. Kokabil ignored everyone and continued to talk on his own, but his expression became more and more ferocious. "It's too boring without war. We who should have been enemies have reconciled. The only thing I can't stand is Farten. Are you crazy? If the fighting continues, all 3 major forces will be killed or injured," Junai retorted loudly. Kokabil was not shaken at all by this, and asked nonchalantly, "So what? How long will it take for the Balpa Holy Sword to merge? About 10 minutes left. At this moment, something unexpected happened. Nangong Long appeared in an instant, snatched the holy swords of Irina and Zenobia and threw them at Balpa. Not to mention Rias and the others, even the enemies were stunned and didn't understand why Nangong Long did this. But that was not the end. Nangong Long then took out 2 more holy swords from the storage space and threw them out. One was a long-lost holy sword that he had found by chance while wandering around a few years ago, and the other was the one that Nangong Long ordered Shaltir to snatch from the church a few days ago. Ryua, what are you doing? Rias asked the girl's confusion. Kakabil also reacted at this time and laughed. Could it be that the Red Dragon Emperor also feels that his current life is too boring? If so, I would welcome you. Balpa was almost going crazy. The holy swords were all there. He never thought he would be so close to his dream. Chapter 38. Nangong Long gave the girls a reassuring look, then looked at Balpa with cold eyes and said, "You should be able to fuse the 7 holy swords, right?" Balpa shuddered all over, his instinct telling him that if he said he was not sure, he would die instantly. No problem, it just takes a little longer. Then hurry up, yes. Kakabil was not too angry about Nangong Long ignoring him. The most important goal now was to start a war, and everything else could be put aside for the time being. Kaiba couldn't control his emotions and planned to rush out to kill Balpa. Wait a minute, it won't be too late to wait. Haven't you always wanted to destroy the holy sword? Kaiba paused for a moment, temporarily stopping what he was doing. Zenobia suppressed her anger and walked to Nangong Long and asked, "What do you want to do?" "Depending on the situation, I may treat you as an enemy." "Nothing, I just want to see the complete sword of the king, darling, is that all?" Irina pouted in dissatisfaction. "Don't worry, I will get it back and give it back to you later. Waiting is boring, why not play with my pet?" A dark vortex appeared on the ground, and the 3-headed dog of hell emerged from it. "How dare you take out this kind of rubbish? What did you say?" "Yeah, what good things can a rubbish like you come up with?" Akeno smiled. From what she knew, someone was going to be in trouble at this time. Kakabil was really angry this time, as the other party clearly looked down on him. "Come on, bite him to death." Nangong Long directly released his undead aura. Although he did not specifically target everyone, they still felt that the atmosphere around them changed, becoming dead silent and cold. The charging 3-headed hellhounds lay on the ground and lowered their heads to show their submission. As Hell's Guard dogs, they could sense a deeper terror from the deathly aura emanating from Nangong Long. "Oh, you guys are very perceptive." Rias and Akeno were lost in thought. They were very familiar with this feeling. The Death God #1 who was beside them not long ago had this aura. After the battle with Phoenix, Death #1 was sent back to Nazarick by Nangong Long to help Albedo. Since Nangong Long has never released the aura of the undead, Rias and the others have always believed that Nangong Long is a human. Looking at the trembling hellhounds in front of him, Nangong Long thought for a while and decided not to kill them. Instead, he took them back and gave them to Aura. She would probably like them. Seeing that his pet had given in before the fight even started, Kakabil became even more furious. "Get up now, or I'll kill you!" The hellhounds turned a deaf ear to him and ignored him. The monster's instinct told them that they would die a more miserable death if they moved. "Since you are so sensible, I will spare your lives." Kakabil condensed an oversized spear of light and threw it at the hellhound. Of course, Nangong Long was also within the attack range. Darkness. The spear of light was corroded by darkness and eventually collapsed and dissipated. The reason why Nangong Long kept Kakabil was not out of mercy, but because he had to supply the magic power needed for the magic circle fused with the holy sword. Kakabil's pupils shrank instantly. Even though he rebelled against God and became a fallen angel, his light was still the nemesis of darkness. But what did he see? His invincible light was actually swallowed up by darkness. What a joke! Zenobia and Irina also looked at this scene in disbelief. "You are not giving me face. I just told you to let them go and you killed them. To be honest, I am very upset." Dimensional movement. Nangong Long instantly appeared behind Kakabil, grabbed his wings and pulled hard. "KG. I hate people flying over my head, especially trash like you." Nangong Long kicked him to the ground. When the smoke and dust cleared, Kakabil, looking disheveled, fell into a deep pit. "Impossible, you can't be that strong, absolutely impossible," Kakabil kept muttering to himself. The reason why he did not take Nangong Long seriously was because he estimated Nangong Long's strength based on his previous host, which was obviously wrong. Nangong Long ignored the frenzied Cockabill and turned around to ask, "How long will it take?" If it was just intuition just now, then now he saw it with his own eyes. The person in front of him had the ability to kill him. Balpa even felt that coming here was a mistake. "It will be ready soon, just wait, the power generated once the holy swords are fused will definitely kill you." The next moment, a bright light shone, and Tian merged the holy sword into two. A strangely shaped sword appeared in front of everyone, and the exorcist following Balpa immediately stepped forward and picked it up. Nangong Long frowned. "Is this what the king's sword originally looked like?" No, after the Sword of Kings was broken, the church added new capabilities when it was rebuilt, otherwise its practicality would be greatly reduced, Balpa replied cautiously. Nangong Long said nothing. Fortunately, he had guessed it before, so he was not disappointed. 987 Bring me the Holy Sword adaptability factor without hesitation. Balpa handed the small container containing the adaptive factor to Nangong Long. Balpa was so obedient because, first, he didn't think that an exorcist holding a complete holy sword could beat Nangong Long. It wasn't that he didn't believe in the power of the holy sword, but that he didn't believe in the strength of the exorcist. Second, he was stalling for time. He found that Cockabill was using the energy generated by the fusion of the holy sword, but it would take some time. Nangong Long could naturally feel the mobilization of magic power, but this amount of power was insignificant to him, so he didn't care. They would all die soon anyway. Nangong Long walked up to Muba and handed him the adaptation factor in his hand. "This is your companion's relic, take it." Kaiba was stunned for a moment and then held the adaptation factor in his hand. At this time, Balpa couldn't help but give some scientific advice. To put it simply, he was trying to show off. "This is the fruit of my hard work. Since everyone does not have enough adaptability factors, we just need to extract them from the unqualified experimental subjects. There will always be enough for one person." Only then did Kaiba realize what he had in his hand. Irina had felt that it looked familiar. It turned out that what he had received before he had the sword was not a blessing at all, but a holy sword adaptation factor. Chapter 38. Nangong Long gave the girls a reassuring look, then looked at Balpa with cold eyes and said, "You should be able to fuse the 7 holy swords, right?" Balpa shuddered all over, his instinct telling him that if he said he was not sure, he would die instantly. No problem, it just takes a little longer." "Then hurry up." Yes. Cockabill was not too angry about Nangong Long ignoring him. The most important goal now was to start a war, and everything else could be put aside for the time being. Kaiba couldn't control his emotions and planned to rush out to kill Balpa. "Wait a minute, it won't be too late to wait. Haven't you always wanted to destroy the holy sword?" Kaiba paused for a moment, temporarily stopping what he was doing. Zenobia suppressed her anger and walked to Nangong Long and asked, "What do you want to do?" "Depending on the situation, I may treat you as an enemy." "Nothing, I just want to see the complete sword of the king, darling, is that all?" Irina pouted in dissatisfaction. "Don't worry, I will get it back and give it back to you later. Waiting is boring, why not play with my pet?" A dark vortex appeared on the ground, and the 3-headed dog of hell emerged from it. "How dare you take out this kind of rubbish?" "What did you say?" "Yeah, what good things can a rubbish like you come up with?" Akeno smiled. From what she knew, someone was going to be in trouble at this time. Cockabill was really angry this time, as the other party clearly looked down on him. "Come on, bite him to death." Nangong Long directly released his undead aura. Although he did not specifically target everyone, they still felt that the atmosphere around them changed, becoming dead silent and cold. The charging 3-headed hellhounds lay on the ground and lowered their heads to show their submission. As Hell's Guard dogs, they could sense a deeper terror from the deathly aura emanating from Nangong Long. "Oh, you guys are very perceptive." Rias and Akeno were lost in thought. They were very familiar with this feeling. The Death God number 1 who was beside them not long ago had this aura. After the battle with Phoenix, Death number 1 was sent back to Nazarick by Nangong Long to help Albedo. Since Nangong Long has never released the aura of the undead, Rias and the others have always believed that Nangong Long is a human. Looking at the trembling hellhounds in front of him, Nangong Long thought for a while and decided not to kill them. Instead, he took them back and gave them to Aura. She would probably like them. Seeing that his pet had given in before the fight even started, Cockabell became even more furious. "Get up now, or I'll kill you!" The hellhounds turned a deaf ear to him and ignored him. The monster's instinct told them that they would die a more miserable death if they moved. "Since you are so sensible, I will spare your lives." Cockabell condensed an oversized spear of light and threw it at the hellhound. Of course, Nangong Long was also within the attack range. Darkness. The spear of light was corroded by darkness and eventually collapsed and dissipated. The reason why Nangong Long kept Cockabell was not out of mercy, but because he had to supply the magic power needed for the magic circle fused with the holy sword. Cockabell's pupils shrank instantly. Even though he rebelled against God and became a fallen angel, his light was still the nemesis of darkness. But what did he see? His invincible light was actually swallowed up by darkness. What a joke! Zenobia and Irina also looked at this scene in disbelief. "You are not giving me face. I just told you to let them go and you killed them. To be honest, I am very upset." Dimensional movement. Nangong Long instantly appeared behind Cockabell, grabbed his wings and pulled hard. "KG. I hate people flying over my head, especially trash like you." Nangong Long kicked him to the ground. When the smoke and dust cleared, Cockabell, looking disheveled, fell into a deep pit. "Impossible, you can't be that strong, absolutely impossible," Cockabell kept muttering to himself. The reason why he did not take Nangong Long seriously was because he estimated Nangong Long's strength based on his previous host, which was obviously wrong. Nangong Long ignored the frenzied Cockabell and turned around to ask, "How long will it take?" If it was just intuition just now, then now he saw it with his own eyes. The person in front of him had the ability to kill him. Balba even felt that coming here was a mistake. "It will be ready soon, just wait, the power generated once the holy swords are fused will definitely kill you." The next moment, a bright light shone, and Tian merged the holy sword into two. A strangely shaped sword appeared in front of everyone, and the exorcist following Balba immediately stepped forward and picked it up. Nangong Long frowned. "Is this what the king's sword originally looked like?" No. After the Sword of Kings was broken, the church added new capabilities when it was rebuilt, otherwise its practicality would be greatly reduced, Balba replied cautiously. Nangong Long said nothing. Fortunately, he had guessed it before, so he was not disappointed. 987 Bring me the Holy Sword. Adaptability factor. Without hesitation, Balba handed the small container containing the adaptive factor to Nangong Long. Balba was so obedient because, first, he didn't think that an exorcist holding a complete holy sword could beat Nangong Long. It wasn't that he didn't believe in the power of the holy sword, but that he didn't believe in the strength of the exorcist. Second, he was stalling for time. He found that Cockabell was using the energy generated by the fusion of the holy sword, but it would take some time. Nangong Long could naturally feel the mobilization of magic power, but this amount of power was insignificant to him, so he didn't care. They would all die soon anyway. Nangong Long walked up to Muba and handed him the adaptation factor in his hand. "This is your companion's relic, take it." Kaiba was stunned for a moment and then held the adaptation factor in his hand. At this time, Balba couldn't help but give some scientific advice. To put it simply, he was trying to show off. "This is the fruit of my hard work. Since everyone does not have enough adaptability factors, we just need to extract them from the unqualified experimental subjects. There will always be enough for one person." Only then did Kaiba realize what he had in his hand. Irina had felt that it looked familiar. It turned out that what he had received before he had the sword was not a blessing at all, but a holy sword adaptation factor. Chapter 40. The girls looked at the 12-winged fallen angels in the sky with great vigilance. They thought that they were here to cause trouble, but the next scene made their brains lose the ability to think for a moment. The hostile fallen angel actually threw himself directly into Nangong Long's arms, and kept acting coquettishly. "I haven't seen you for a long time. I miss you so much. Why don't you come to see me? Didn't we contact each other a few days ago?" Euless shook Nangong Long's arm with an unhappy look, and her face almost said, "Please comfort me." Nangong Long rubbed her hair and said with a smile, "Okay, I'll get you back soon." Euless said shyly, "Can I make a small request?" "Oh, when did you become so shy?" Nangong Long joked. Just agree to it first, okay?" Okay, now you can tell me." There was a gleam of success in Euless' eyes. "Hee. We'll know when the adults call me and my sister back. For now, keep it a secret." Euless hugged Nangong Long tightly, then 387 took a step back, put her hands behind her back, leaned forward, raised her head and smiled charmingly. "My lord, please look forward to it. Then I will take my leave first." Euless is playful, lively and a little bold, while Mir is shy and gentle. The two sisters look exactly the same except for the color of their wings and hair. Euless has black hair, while Mir has golden hair. Seeing Euless leave, everyone came back to their senses. "What's going on?" Rias asked. "Oh, this couldn't be your fallen angel friend," Akeno said with her hands covering her mouth. "Darling, what about the sword you just used?" asked Irina, who had barely recovered from the news of God's death. Muba walked over and handed the holy sword in his hand to Nangong Long, then walked aside and waited for Nangong Long's explanation because he was also very curious. "You guys go home first, I'll deal with these two hellhounds first." The girls nodded in agreement. Nangong Long teleported back to Nazarick, gave the Cerberus to Aura, and then returned home. Aura was very happy. No matter how strong the hellhounds were, they were gifts from adults, and that alone was enough. Under the girls' burning gazes, Nangong Long said, "Which one do you want to hear first?" The girls thought about it and, except for Zenobia, all decided to listen to the story of the fallen angels first. "I don't need to tell you that you should have a certain understanding of Euless." Rias and the others nodded and said, "Well, we heard that a 12-winged female fallen angel appeared among the fallen angels. Although I haven't seen her in person, there is only one 12-winged female fallen angel, so I think she should be it. Euless was originally mine, but I sent her away a year ago." The demon girls were not too shocked to learn that Nangong Long's subordinates were fallen angels. After all, they had learned about what happened to Demiurge before, and their ability to accept it had greatly increased. Irina and the others were surprised, but they had no choice but to believe it since the fact was right in front of them. "Infiltrating into the fallen angels? What do you want to do? You don't have to tell me." Kang Na realized that she seemed to have asked too much, so she immediately changed her words. "It's nothing. If you want to know, I can tell you. You are mine anyway." Kang Na's face turned a little red. "I am very interested in the artifact, so I asked us to infiltrate the Son of God monitor to get their research data. That's it, darling. What about that sword?" Irina asked impatiently. "It's just a replica, but it's no less powerful than the original." "Of course, the original version I'm talking about is not this one, Suf. Nangong Long pointed at the fusion holy sword thrown aside. The sword of victory oath was forged by Nangong Long according to the sword that Altria carried in his memory. In order to make the sword the best it could be, Nangong Long traveled to every corner of the game world to collect super rare materials, some of which were even world-class materials that would be gone once used and would never be produced again. Therefore, although this sword is classified as a divine weapon, it is actually comparable to a world-class item. The only difference between this sword and the original one is that the 13 seals on it are just decorations, and the specific output power is entirely controlled by the user. The reason for this is, firstly, Nangong Long himself could not remember what the 13 seals were, and secondly, there was no need to limit the power of the weapons he made, otherwise so many materials would be wasted. The girls looked at him in confusion, wondering which other sword it could be if not this one. "I know you are confused, but I am telling the truth. The prototype of this sword was held by a very naive girl." The girls felt something was wrong, their intuition told them that this would be a strong rival in love. "Her name is Altria Pendragon. Descendants of King Arthur." Zenobia guessed. "Descendants?" Nangong Long shook his head and laughed. "She is the legendary King Arthur," Ali's descendants said. "King Arthur is a man," Zenobia immediately retorted, and the other girls also looked at her with an expression that said, "Are you kidding me?" "I'm not kidding. In this world, I really don't know whether King Arthur is a man or a woman, but in another world, King Arthur is a woman, a king who dedicated his life to his country and his people." Kang Na frowned. "Another world? What does that mean?" Rias asked the question in her mind directly. "Literally, there is more than one world. Hasn't mankind also proposed the theory of parallel worlds?" "Of course they know, but that is only theory, and there is actually no evidence to prove this theory." "Well, have you been to that world and seen her?" Irina asked. "No, I learned about it through other means, but I believe I will have a chance to meet her. Let's leave it at that for now. What are you going to do, Ellie?" "Oh, well, there's nothing we can do. We'll probably be expelled. It's our fault for knowing that God is dead," Irina said with some self-mockery. However, we still need to send the holy sword back. Can you give it to me, darling? Nangong Long nodded. There was no point in keeping the weak holy sword, so he might as well give it to Irina to make her happy. As expected, Irina laughed very happily. According to her understanding, Darling must have reluctantly given up the holy sword for her sake. Even though it was not as good as the one in Darling's hand, it was still a holy sword. Chapter 41. It has been a few days since the last incident. Nangong Long was staying in the student union, but the atmosphere was a bit ambiguous because only he and Kang Na were there. Kang Na's heart has been beating fast since just now, and her face is as red as an apple. Since Nangong Long has been staring at her, she has to pretend to be handling something to hide her nervousness. Nangong Long stood up and walked to Kang Na, pulled her up and then hugged her. Kang Na turned her head away and didn't dare to look at him directly. She had already guessed what was going to happen next, and she felt happy but also a little nervous. What do you want to do? Nangong Long lifted up Kang Na's delicate chin, lowered his head and kissed her. Kang Na subconsciously closed her eyes. After making love, Kang Na leaned on Nangong Long's chest and said, "Remember to use magic to clean it up later, otherwise you will definitely be discovered." Nangong Long said jokingly, "Just discover it." "Humph, you dare!" Seeing Nangong Long, who was dressed, holding her steady as a rock and not using magic to clean up the office, Kang Na seemed a little anxious. Fortunately, before the relatives entered the student union, Nangong Long cast a spell. Seeing this, Kang Na knew that Nangong Long was teasing her on purpose, so she stretched out her jade hand and pinched him, but not too hard. Nangong Long immediately cooperated and made an expression that said, "I'm in pain." Seeing his exaggerated performance, Kang Na chuckled, then rolled her eyes at him and returned to her desk. Kang Na continued to handle the work of the student union with a normal expression. Everything returned to normal, but Nangong Long would occasionally make some gestures that only the two of them understood. Whenever he does this, Kang Na's face turns red. Seeing the strange behavior of the two, Zhenluo Chunji seemed to understand something. The next day, the mysterious research society Nangong Long saw Zenobia and Irina, who were reincarnated as demons. Irina became a demon and her future direction has changed. He was expelled because of the truth. In fact, it was true, but they had a tacit understanding and no one mentioned the holy sword in Nangong Long's hand. In this way, Zenobia became a knight, and Irina became a soldier but occupied 4 chess pieces. "Darling, please give me your advice." "Zenobia, please give me your guidance. Are you okay?" Irina's expression was sad for a moment, but she cheered up immediately. "There's nothing wrong with this. I can be with Darling more often in the future." Zenobia said expressionlessly, "I had no choice. I knew the god was gone and I didn't know what to do. So I just gave up and asked the minister to reincarnate me into a demon." Rias smiled and said, "It's not bad to change your lifestyle. Think carefully about what you want to do." Zenobia still has the holy sword Durandal to use. "Irina, do you have any weapons?" "I'm going to ask my brother to help me find a sword suitable for Irina," Rias said. "Don't bother, I'll take care of it." Akeno came up to him and asked, "Is it the sword from last time?" Irina's eyes lit up. Nangong Long shook his head and said, "No, that sword has conditions for use. It cannot be used without the qualifications to become a king. Also, the last time the holy sword was released, it required a huge amount of magic power, so it is not suitable for Irina." Irina felt a little disappointed, but Nangong Long's next words made her feel warm again. "The best weapon is the one that suits you. Irina, please describe the weapon you want and I will have someone make one for you. Can the holy sword be used?" "No problem." Irina threw herself on him excitedly. "Darling, the best." Rias stood up and said angrily, "Hurry up, I'm not asking you to snatch the dragon from me." Irina stuck out her tongue at Rias. "No, Darling is mine. Oh, it's mine. Senior." The welcome daily routine has begun again. Zenobia watched this scene quietly from the side, and suddenly a gleam of light flashed in her eyes. She didn't know what she was thinking about, and her hand involuntarily fell on her belly. Chapter 42. The rooftop swimming pool at Nangong Long's home. Girls wearing various swimsuits were swaying in front of Nangong Long's eyes. Rias is wearing a red bikini, Akeno is wearing a pure white one-piece swimsuit. Asia and Konako were wearing one-piece school swimsuits, and Sana was wearing a light blue swimsuit. This was her first time wearing a swimsuit in front of a man. In short, every girl has her own characteristics. Rias walked up to Nangong Long and made a gesture. Does it look good? Well, 740 is beautiful, what about me? Akame also came over. It suits you very well, how's my swimsuit? What about mine? Do you like this one of mine? If not, I can change it, said Shinra Chunji. Hey, the vice president is so cunning. I can do that too. Ryoko Nomura, who recently became a follower of Sana, has decided to go all out in order to surpass her predecessors. Hey, Hayura Tsubasa looked at her schoolmate in disbelief. Then I can't be outdone by the younger generation, Hwaja Adao said with great vigor. Under the majesty of Sana, it did not turn into a stripping contest in the end, but the girls started a competitive game for another goal. First, there was a competition between Ria's team and Sana's team, and finally the teams used other methods to decide the order in which Nangong Long would apply sunscreen. Meow, what are you doing? Hij turned around and looked at his sister. The kitten hadn't seen her sister appear, so whenever she had a chance she would look towards Nangong Long. Sure enough, she was right. Her sister had run away again. Elder sister. Hearing his sister's voice, Hij's face froze, and he turned around and smiled unnaturally. Is my sister okay? What is my sister doing? The kitten dragged his sister away without mercy. Hij's cry instantly attracted the attention of her sister. Ah, we really can't be careless at all. What a great opponent who knows how to take advantage of others' weaknesses, said King Na. Rias lay down next to Nangong Long. I'm the first one. Nangong Long smiled, picked up the sunscreen next to him, poured it on his hands and started. Hey? No more. I'll go down and get it, Nangong Long said to the girls. Not long after, Zenovia found an excuse to leave the rooftop. Rias and the others didn't think much about it. They didn't think Zenovia would do anything. After all, she didn't show any sign of liking him at all. Nangong Long, who had gotten the sunscreen, was about to return to the roof when he happened to meet Zenovia, who had just come down. To be precise, Zenovia was looking for him. What are you looking for? Zenovia silently walked up to him and hugged him. Have a baby with me. What an explosive speech. Nangong Long stroked her hair and said with a smile, why do you suddenly have this idea? God is dead. I no longer need to follow the old rules, so I have a new goal. Having a baby. Well, I want to experience the joy of being a woman, and I have a good feeling about you, so I choose you to be the father of my child. But it seems difficult for pure-blooded demons to get pregnant. Fortunately, I am a reincarnated demon, so the chance should be higher. What to do next? Although the girl was very proactive, Nangong Long knew that he would not be able to push her away this time because he had already sensed that a girl was coming down. What are you doing? Rias's magic power began to surge. Ah, I was just a little confused as to why I hadn't been up there for so long. I planned to come down to see what was going on, but I didn't expect to see something like this. Although Akame was smiling, her aura was terrifying. King Na pushed her eyes and said, 2.5 Can you explain this? Zenovia didn't care about the atmosphere at all and said directly, planning to have a baby. Give birth to children. Can you tell me what happened in such a short time that it has come to the point where you have to give birth to a child? Akame's smile became more and more terrifying. Nangong Long smiled helplessly. He was the only one who could explain it. Jinyo Waiwaiya could not be relied on. It's a Shura field that we all like to see, but it doesn't feel bad either. Chapter 43. Yesterday, Rias said with a depressed look on her face that her brother was going to sign a peace agreement among the three major forces at Kyoa Academy. She didn't really want to hold the meeting on her own territory because it might cause a lot of trouble. But she couldn't refuse. As for why this happened, she had her own guess. It should be because Nangong Long was here. The depressed Rias had to act coquettishly and seek comfort from Nangong Long. The other girls were also surprised that the three forces that had been hostile to each other for so long were actually planning to negotiate. They were not mentally prepared at all. Mystical Research Society. Rias and her followers were standing in front of a door with a magic circle engraved on it and a seal with a spell written on it. Another of my bishops is sealed here. Asia looked at Rias in confusion and asked, why do you want to seal it? His ability is too dangerous. My brother and the higher UPS think I can't control him, so this is what happened. But brother has agreed to lift the seal on him now. The reason is probably that since Long is by my side, I can control anything that happens. Rias turned her head and looked at Nangong Long and said with a smile. Nangong Long knew about Gaspa's situation, but he didn't bring it up on his own initiative. He was not sure if he could enlighten this super shut-in transvestite. Now, if all else fails, just throw him to Shaltir. Even though their prototypes are very different, they are of the same race after all, so there shouldn't be any problem. As for the abilities of the demon god Barl, we'll see after he awakens. What kind of ability is that? Irina asked curiously. Akeno spoke up to answer her question. The artifact he possesses is the evil eye that stops the world, which can stop the time of people and objects in his sight. What a terrifying ability, said Zenobia. Rias lifted the seal and opened the door, and the others followed her in. Gasper, you can come out now. No, I don't want to leave here. I'd rather stay here and never go out again in my life. Gaspa's trembling voice came from the coffin. The kitten stepped forward and opened the coffin lid. Zygia, poop. Don't want even though I know that the other person is a transvestite, she is still so cute that it's unfair, Nangong Long sighed. As for the idea of going after a man just because he knows she's a man, forget it. The world fell silent, and everyone except Gaspard and Nangong Long became motionless. Gaspar immediately ran to a corner and hid. Gugong Long walked up to him, squatted down, looked at him and said, "How long can you hide? If you don't face up to your own power, you will only continue to hurt the people you care about and yourself." Gaspar was stunned. This was the first time he saw someone ignoring his abilities. He felt inexplicably happy. At this time, Gaspa's ability stopped and everyone returned to normal. "Hey, where are the people? Darling is missing too," Irina asked in confusion. He was clearly there just now, how could he disappear in an instant? There, Rias sighed and pointed to the corner. She probably knew what had just happened. "Look, our time has just stopped," Akeno answered the doubts of the church trio. Zenobia said in confusion, "Then why is the dragon okay?" Akeno covered her mouth and chuckled. "It seems that Gaspar's ability is ineffective against my dear." "Who are you? Why doesn't my ability work on you?" Rias came over and said, "He is Nangong Long, the host of Tien Long. He is a sophomore at Juwang Academy and is your senior. They are my new followers, Bishop Asia, Knight Zenobia, and Soldier Irina. Gaspar, come with us." Gaspar shook his head like a rattle, and looked like he would never leave. Rias could only sigh helplessly. "Do you think your abilities are terrifying?" Nangong Long asked. "Isn't it true? I never want to see the people I care about become motionless again." "Then you should train yourself until you can control your own power freely." "Impossible, can't do it. How do you know it won't work if you haven't tried it? Besides, you're not the only one who has this ability." "What?" Gaspar looked incredulous, and so did the others. It turned out that this buggy ability was not unique. "Asia, can I pause your time for a moment?" Asia was stunned for a moment, then immediately nodded and said, "It's okay, Long San can do whatever you want to me." Nangong Long looked at Ixia and smiled. Ixia's pretty face suddenly turned red. "Time stops, dear, how many abilities do you have that I don't know about?" "Oh, darling, you won't use this trick to do whatever you want to me, will you?" Nangong Long lifted the magic, and Ixia looked at everyone in confusion. What happened? Akeno rolled her eyes and decided to tease Asia. "Long just did all sorts of things to you, but of course you can't feel it because your own time has stopped." "Hey, 197, really?" Asia's face turned red and she was about to faint from excitement. Zenobia beside her couldn't bear it anymore and told her the truth. Asia felt a little disappointed. If you can control your own power skillfully, you can stop what you want to stop, and naturally it won't affect other people. I practiced this move for a long time before I could do it. At the beginning, once it is activated, the whole area will stop except for me." "Really, senior?" Nangong Long messed up Gaspa's hair. "Of course, you don't want to keep losing control of your power and stop Rias and the others' time, and don't you want to respond to Rias's expectations of you?" Gaspar said excitedly, "Of course I do. I've always wanted to repay the president's kindness, but I can't do it. Every time I activate my ability uncontrollably." "No problem, I will train you very strictly until you can control your power freely." "Yes, senior," Gaspar responded loudly with unprecedented vigor. "Phew, finally done. If it doesn't work I'll have to leave it to Shaltir, but then Gaspar might experience hellish terror." Rias smiled beautifully. "I'll look forward to your growth, Gaspar." Chapter 44. Senior Long, help me. Gasper was running for his life in front, while Zenobia and Irina were chasing him with holy swords. Irina's weapon is already ready, and has all the abilities of the 7 holy swords. This was her own request, after all, she is already used to using the holy swords. In terms of power, it is even stronger than the one used by the church. However, Mir said that the one used by the church has split again. This is probably because Balba's research was not thorough and the sword was only temporarily fused when it was put into battle. Xiaojie, eat garlic no. The kitten was also having a lot of fun. Kaiba watched the fun from the side. As for Asia, she was providing a knee pillow for Nangong Long. Although Asia's body was not as elastic as Zenovia's, it was very soft and very comfortable to use as a pillow. Long sang, "Is everything okay?" Asia said with some concern. "Don't worry, they won't hurt him. Controlling a divine weapon requires physical strength, so some exercise will be good for him." "Oh young man, are you enjoying yourself?" A strange voice suddenly sounded. "We are about to sign a peace agreement. Is it really okay for you to be so idle, Azazel, the governor of the fallen angels?" After hearing Nangong Long's words, the others immediately began to guard against Azazel as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Asia wanted to move but didn't dare to, because Nangong Long had no intention of getting up. Noticing Asia's uneasiness, Nangong Long pinched her cheek and said with a smile, "It's going to be okay." Seeing this, Zenobia and the others relaxed a little. They had unknowingly become dependent on Nangong Long as expected of the host of Tian Long. He is really courageous. "What's up? I'm just very interested in you. After all, it's unprecedented for the Red Dragon Emperor and the White Dragon Emperor to reside in the same person. It's simply an abnormal existence. If possible, can you tell me how you merged these 2 god-killing tools with opposite abilities? Strength, lifespan, system bug. I don't recommend others to do this, those with a short lifespan will definitely die on the spot." "Excuse me, do you have a long life?" "No limits." Azazel was slightly stunned and then smiled. "What a surprise. It seems the intelligence was wrong and you are not human." The others did not look surprised. Rias had asked Nangong Long this question after the last Cockabill incident, so they all knew it. Reciprocity, letting that kid suck your blood is the fastest way to master the power of the artifact. Nangong Long waved his hand and said, "You only know one side of the story. Gasper would probably die if he sucked my blood." Azazel's pupils shrank instantly. His theory was correct, so there was only one possibility that the other party himself was abnormal, which was interesting. In this case, we can only rely on training. The last question is about the fallen angels. I can introduce many beautiful female fallen angels to you. The target is the legendary dragon. They will be happy to accept it. The hostility of the women present instantly increased, but Gasper, why are you so hostile? Forget it, you should manage your subordinates well. Be careful that I will kidnap all the beautiful fallen angels one day." Seeing Nangong Long's refusal, Azazel did not continue to force him. He just turned around and left with a big laugh. "If you can do it, come on." "Long San likes the fallen angel sister," Asia said with her head down and tears in her eyes. Nangong Long raised his hand and pressed Asia's head lower, touching their lips. Asia stared with her big eyes, showing a cute, slightly dazed expression. After a long time, their lips parted, Asia's pretty face flushed, her fingers intertwined, she was so happy, hee. "I like Asia very much. So cunning, Darren wants it too." "Kissing is also necessary. Let's start with kissing for a smooth birth." "Senior." The kitten's face turned red. "Mystical Research Society." "Gasper, stay here, let's go," Rias said. "It would be more troublesome if we bring him here with us," Nangong Long said meaningfully. No need, I'll just stay here." Gasper refused in his heart. He didn't want to see anyone, let alone the big guys from various parties. Rias thought. Will something happen? Not everyone wants peace. Nangong Long winked at Zenobia, who understood immediately and took out her holy sword and walked behind Gasper. "Go or not? Can't I just go? Please let me go, President, help me, this is so scary," Gasper said tremblingly. Rias understood the hidden meaning in Nangong Long's words, which was that someone might come to attack the venue to stop this meeting that would determine the future direction. If Gasper stayed here, he would most likely be used, and things would definitely become very bad. "But my brother and others." Nangong Long naturally knew what Rias wanted to say, so he said directly, It's okay, I'm here. Meeting room. Sana, Rias, and their families sat on chairs nearby, while Gasper hid in a cardboard box in a corner, which made Rias feel a little embarrassed. The demon's representatives are Surtsks, Seraflu, and Demiurge. Originally, the demon high-ranking officials were opposed to Demiurge's participation in this meeting, but the 4 demon lords all vetoed it. Doing so was, on the one hand, to show Nangong Long their friendly attitude, and on the other hand, to test Nangong Long's attitude towards the peace conference. Good. The only angel representative is Michael, and the only fallen angel representative is Azazel. Nangong Long also sat at the conference table to represent himself. First, they talked about the previous Cockabill incident, and then the big guys argued with each other. The difference is that Cockabill is dead, and Azazel didn't pursue the matter. He didn't like the war madman. He didn't kill him before just for the sake of his former comrades. Now that he is dead, he just feels a little sad. Enough of the nonsense, let's discuss the signing of a peace agreement, said Azazel. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect that the fallen angels would be the first to bring up this matter. What do you think about this matter? Azazel looked at Nangong Long and asked you. No opinion. What do you want to pursue in a nutshell? Women. Azazel asked. Chapter 45. The girls all listened carefully and were very curious. Maybe it's strength. If you're not strong enough, you can't live freely. There will always be layers of restraints. If you are too weak, you can't protect anything. Rias and Akeno were quite touched. If Nangong Long had not been strong enough, one of them would have been forced to marry and the other might have died. I see, so you can live as you please. Do you object to us signing a peace treaty? I don't mind. Rias and the others probably don't want to keep fighting. The girls felt warm in their hearts. At this time, an unexpected situation broke out and Juwang Academy was invaded. Since there was no chance to attack Gasper, the magicians could only fight head-on with the subordinates of the 3 forces guarding outside. The floor lit up with the light of a magic circle, which was the symbol of Leviathan, but it was from a previous generation. Hello, Lord Zeeks, the current demon lord. What's going on with Katria, the former heir of the Leviathan bloodline? Surtsks asked in a deep voice. Of course we are destroying you. We don't want you to get what you want. You are from the unfortunate group, right? Azazel SAID 907. The group of disaster. Everyone present except Nangong Long and Demiurge had an expression of confusion. A bunch of lunatics who only want to destroy the world, their boss is Orpheus, Azazel explained. Haha, you're only half right. We plan to re-establish order after the destruction, and we will be the masters of the new world. Nangong Long kept staring at her, but she seemed to have misunderstood what he meant. I guess you are the host of Tianlong who has become famous recently. Haha, don't look at me like that. I have heard a little about your strength. If you are willing to join us, you can choose any beauty you want. It is not a problem to change one every day. Even I will do whatever you like. Rias and the others exuded strong hostility. It seems your woman is angry, Kateria smiled indifferently. You seem to have misunderstood something. I think you just feel like you are mentally retarded. Kateria's smile froze, Akeno couldn't help laughing out loud, and the other girls couldn't help but twitch their lips, their eyes full of smiles. Sebbed. Nangong Long looked at Azazel and asked, why do you all think I can be bribed by beauty? Azazel smiled and said, why not give it a try? What if it succeeds? There's nothing to lose. Rias looked at Asia and the others and asked quietly, what happened while I was away? Konako briefly described her encounter with Azazel. Rias frowned. Although she knew that Nangong Long would not abandon them, she still felt a sense of crisis. However, now was not the time to think about such things. The most urgent task was to face the external enemies. It's a standard villain statement. You're not strong enough and you talk a lot of nonsense. It would be strange if you didn't die, Nangong Long said calmly. Kateria couldn't bear it anymore and started to attack. Nangong Long knocked her out of the room with just one blow. Kateria was hit hard in the abdomen and vomited blood. Seeing Nangong Long taking action, Michael and the others were not idle either, but set up a barrier to cover the entire school, otherwise the surrounding human world would definitely be destroyed, which was not what they wanted to see. Demiurge rushed out and stood guard near Nangong Long to prevent anyone from disturbing the adults' battle. Although they were all ants and the adult didn't care at all, it would be his dereliction of duty if he allowed others to disrupt the battle. Rias and the others also fought with the magicians, and would glance at Nangong Long from time to time. Gasper stayed on the side of the Demon King. He could not control his own power skillfully, so he could only do this for the time being. It seems that there is a traitor among us, and the other party is obviously well prepared, said Azazel. How much do you know about the group of disaster? Michael asked. Not many. I only know that they have integrated a lot of terrorists, led by the infinite dragon god Orpheus. But I don't think Orpheus would think so much. I guess he is just the nominal boss. That's all I know. You guys are enough to maintain the barrier. I'm going out to help. There are only a few fallen angels left, and he doesn't want their number to continue to decrease sharply. Seeing that she was no match for Nangong Long, Kateria decisively decided to take the Orpheus snake, but as soon as she took it out, Nangong Long teleported away. Nangong Long was not used to waiting for the other party to strengthen before taking action. Moreover, his own strength was like that, how much could he strengthen? Instead of wasting it on her, he might as well study it himself. He was still very interested in my strength. Give it back to me. Kateria roared and rushed over. But that was meaningless. The only reason she could live this long was because Nangong Long didn't take it seriously. He was analyzing the composition of the magic circle. After he finished, he planned to move over to see if he could find Meng Long. No matter how Kateria attacked, she was simply abused, and all the big guys couldn't help but be amazed. He was able to completely defeat the heir to the former Demon King's bloodline without using the Divine Destroyer tool. No wonder he lost so miserably in the first place, thought Surtsks. Unable to bear the humiliation, Kateria's arm turned into a tentacle and wrapped around Nangong Long's right arm. Die with me! Kateria yelled madly. Nangong Long didn't even look at her. The analysis was complete and he was going to do the reverse transfer. Senior. After the explosion, the girls did not see Nangong Long and stood there in a daze. Rias lost all her strength and fell to the ground, becoming dazed. Seeing this, Demiurge ordered his men to protect them. These men were not the demon servants he summoned, but the demons from the underworld who had surrendered to him. Surtsk saw that there was no change in Demiurge's expression, and immediately realized that things were not as they thought. He also sensed a fluctuation of teleportation magic just now. Rias Nangong Long, everything is fine, cheer up quickly. A glimmer of light appeared in the girl's eyes, and they turned to look at the Demon King. Do you think Demiurge is furious? Yes, considering Demiurge's loyalty, if Nangong Long really had something wrong, he would have killed him a long time ago. Chapter 46. My lord, I just reversed the transfer. The princess candidates don't need to worry. Hearing this, the girls breathed a sigh of relief. I was really scared to death. Surtsks and the others thought on the other hand, is her attainment in magic so high? You know, Graphia, who is very good at magic, has only analyzed a small part of the magic circle composition so far. On the other side, Nangong Long had moved to the magician's location, but he did not see Orpheus, so it seemed that this was not their headquarters. I really don't know where so many magicians come from. They are so densely packed together. No wonder they are teleported to Juwang College in an endless stream. As human beings, why should they obey the orders of the devil, or the orders of Orpheus? Is it for fame, fortune, or power? Maybe it's just a dream. After all, none of them are afraid of death and are like the Death Squad. One thing is very strange, it seems that there are more female magicians. Nangong Long used his meteor shower to eliminate the magicians before they could react. Wally, wearing ice blue armor, seized the moment when Azazel relaxed and took decisive action. It seems that even if he didn't have the White Dragon King's wings of light to reside in him, he still had another artifact residing in him. Wally was not in the meeting room, but was outside on guard duty. TV Wally, when? Azazel asked as he stood up from the pit. They contacted me not long ago, and I think that place is more suitable for me. Sorry, Azazel. It seems that I am getting old too, Azazel said with some self-mockery. Nangong Long, who had just been teleported back, happened to see the scene. Darling, are you okay? Irina, who was closest, ran over and asked. Senior, how are you? The girls all gathered around, looking concerned. I'm fine. We've dealt with the magicians at the teleportation array. The only ones left are here. The two fighting parties also noticed that the transmission had stopped. The magicians seemed a little panicked and began to retreat. Then, Yu Yilong looked at Azazel and said, "What? Are you going to stage a father-son feud?" Nangong Long didn't care too much about Wally's armor. Some deviations were normal. How could it remain unchanged? "We are not father and son," said Wally. Azazel's eyes darkened, then immediately returned to normal without anyone noticing. "Want to fight me?" Azazel said with a smile. "It's not bad to fight with you, but I want to fight him more now." Wally turned his gaze to Nangong Long and said. The invading magicians were wiped out in a short while, but Wally did not waver at all. He must have confidence in his own strength and could retreat even if he could not win. Nangong Long did not reply, and directly activated the Forbidden Hand, and the red and white armor instantly covered his entire body. The two of them rose straight up into the sky. The two men fought extremely fast, and except for the bigwigs from each side, no one else could see clearly how the battle went on. It is obvious that the fight ended up like this because Nangong Long let them win. As for the reason, it's not bad to make friends. After repairing the damaged armor, Vala smiled and said, "You are indeed very strong, but you probably haven't released the full calendar yet." At this moment, another person suddenly broke into the barrier. "It looks like Kshatriya has failed. Vala, we should leave. They are preparing to go to war with the Asir. Is the time up yet?" "Yes, my name is Mihao. Please give me your guidance." Qing Long the monkey stuck the long stick into the ground, and a dark hole appeared. The two men slipped in, and Nangong Long did not stop him. "I will definitely become stronger and let you use your full strength," Wally said before disappearing. "Who is he?" Rias asked, looking at her brother. Descendant of the Fighting Buddha, a monkey demon who inherited Sun Wukong's power. Rias was surprised. Frankly speaking, the Monkey King in Nangong Long's heart is only that unruly and fearless demon monkey. How can I describe this world? I can't say I like him or hate him. I just think of him as another person with the same name. "Sorry, it's our turn to cause you trouble this time," said Sertsk apologetically. "N 7 star dash. Forget it, I have a traitor on my side as well," Azazel said helplessly. "Let's not pursue this matter for now. The most urgent task is to sign a peace agreement as soon as possible and work together to find a way to deal with the trouble group," said Michael. "Indeed, it looks like the misfortune group is preparing to attack the northern gods. I'll leave it to you to explain Odin's side." "I understand." Even if you were to tell him, he probably wouldn't believe it. In the end, the three major forces signed a peace agreement, prohibiting all fighting. There will naturally be people who are unwilling to obey, but this can only be resolved little by little over time. Azazel chose to stay in Zhu Academy temporarily to teach Gasper, and Nangong Long did not object. Although he had already obtained the method of making the artifact, Azazel had studied the possibility of the artifact's evolution more thoroughly. The most important thing was that he was also happy to have some free time. 2 days later, Nangong Long was walking towards the shrine. This matter started this morning. Before leaving for school, Akeno secretly asked him to meet here. She must have already dealt with Rias, otherwise if they were in the same class, Rias would definitely find out if he skipped class. When he reached the end of the stairs, he saw Akeno, dressed in a shrine maiden costume, waiting for him with a smile on her face. "Let's go in." Akeno took Nangong Long's hand and walked towards the shrine. Give Junai brought the freshly brewed tea to Nangong Long, and then sat down next to him. "Can I tell you a story?" Nangong Long nodded. Judging from Akeno's expression, she seemed to want to confide in him. Junai began to talk about his childhood and the days when he was hunted down and had to hide everywhere. "Until that day, I really thought I was going to die, but you showed up without any reason and were willing to stand in front of me. At that moment, I felt really relieved." Akeno placed her hand on her chest. "Every time you come to see me is my happiest day. At first I didn't know what that meant, but later I realized that I had fallen hopelessly in love with you." At this point, Akeno pulled her shirt down to her waist, and then turned her back to him, revealing her completely different wings. One was the wings of a fallen angel, the other was the wings of a devil. Chapter 47. Are you willing to accept me, a person with filthy blood? On the surface, Akeno never showed anything, but she was always concerned about the fact that she had the blood of a fallen angel. Nangong Long pulled Akeno into his arms. "Do you think I care?" Akeno smiled with tears in her eyes and said, "I guess you don't, then why do you think so much?" He, wouldn't it be reassuring if I didn't ask?" Nangong Long rubbed Akeno's hair vigorously and said with a smile, it feels much better if you talk about it now. Akame leaned on his Bakakai shoulder, feeling very happy and at ease. Actually, your worries are completely unnecessary. I knew your background a long time ago. Ah. Akame looked surprised. She had only told Rias about this matter, but she had already told Rias to tell him about it herself, so it shouldn't be Rias who told him. So the most likely possibility is... Akame stared at him with wide eyes. You are not. After saying goodbye to you, I went to Haimejima's house on purpose. Akame showed an expression that said, as expected. After all, I'm worried about those stubborn old men, so it's necessary to warn them. Did you interrogate them? No, I want to protect you, it has nothing to do with your background. A warm feeling flowed through Akane's heart. She stretched out her slender jade finger and poked his chest, smiling sweetly, do you know how much harm you can do to others? Then he continued, then how did you know that? It was your cousin Suzaku who told me. She stood up despite the angry gazes of the family elders and told me about you. She also asked me to take good care of you, Nangong Long said with a smile. Akame rolled her eyes at him in a slightly flirtatious manner. Cousin? Then your cousin's situation should be very bad. But I heard that she is now the head of the Haimejima family. I don't think those old guys would be so kind. It must be something you did. You have a cousin who cares about you so much, so of course I won't let anything happen to her, so I might as well threaten those old guys. He, very much like you. However, I haven't contacted my cousin since I went home. Akane's expression became a little depressed. I'll go back with you to see her sometime. Yeah, Akame responded with a smile. By the way, what are you going to do if I say I dislike you? Nangong Long teased. If that's the case, I can only use all my tricks to make you fall in love with me. Anyway, I will never leave you. But the problem is that I have absolutely no experience, Akame said with a smile, sticking out her tongue. Akame, who usually looks like an older sister, is extremely lethal when she acts cute. Nangong Long rubbed Akane's hair and said with pity, it's stupid. Akame looked at him with watery eyes. I can't help it. It's your fault for stealing someone's heart. You have to take responsibility for this. As long as you are willing, I will always be with you. Of course, even if you regret it now, I will not let you go. Akame blushed and smiled sweetly, I won't regret it. I will rely on you for the rest of my life. Junai's face turned redder than ever, and even her body turned red. Finally, she mustered up the courage to whisper in Nangong Long's ear, I want you. After the lovemaking, Akame looked a little tired, and looked at the man she loved with warm eyes. Can you bring me a pillow? Akame said, pointing to a corner of the room. Nangong Long came over with a quilt and a pillow, and Junai pointed to her waist to indicate that they should be placed underneath. Akame touched her belly and smiled, it's hard for demons to get pregnant, I hope this can increase the chance a little bit. You want to have a baby at such a young age. I'm just making preparations early. After all, I don't know when I'll get pregnant. It could take a year or two, or even longer. But if I'm lucky and get pregnant right away, I will choose to give birth to the baby. I want to give birth to your child first, but what is my goal now? As they were chatting, Junai fell asleep. Nangong Long covered the two of them with the quilt he had just brought, and then closed his eyes to rest. It was not until the evening that Akame woke up, rubbed her sleepy eyes and said, there is a hot spring behind the shrine. I'll take you there. There are yukatas there. After putting on the yukata, Nangong Long carried Junai horizontally and went to the hot spring. After taking a bath, the two returned home wearing yukata. The girls knew what was going on, and they went back to their own rooms to sleep at night, leaving Nangong Long's room to Akame. The same was true for Hij and Sana. Chapter 48. The next morning Akame kissed Nangong Long on the cheek. Good morning kiss. After breakfast, everyone went to school as usual. The semester would end in a few days and summer vacation was about to begin. During the break, Zenobia walked to Nangong Long's desk. I was too impatient last time. Having a baby should be done slowly. Having a baby? The class suddenly fell silent, staring at the two in amazement. Zenobia remained calm as she took out various condoms from her skirt pocket and continued, let's practice this first. Darling is mine, said Irina, a classmate. There was a gleam of excitement in Kiryuika's eyes. Here, Asia should use it too. Asia took the condom in a small square package with a lot of questions in her head. Kiryuika 24 whispered something in her ear, and Asia's face immediately turned red. Nangong Long stood up and rubbed Zenovia's hair and said with a smile, "It seems like I need to work on your common sense. You should talk about this kind of thing at home instead of in front of many people. Do you understand? It's so complicated, I don't understand it at all. Forget it, you will understand it slowly in the future. Lift as for the discussions around you, just ignore them." Ever since Nangong Long solved her prayer headache problem, Zenovia has had a good impression of him, but she herself doesn't quite understand these things now. "Asia, you have to work harder, otherwise the dragon will be taken away." Kiryuika is encouraging Asia. Asia blushed and muttered, "I won't be able to snatch it away, but I'm already far behind President Rias and the others, so I really need to work harder." I didn't hear what you said." Asia waved her hands quickly. Nothing. Kiryu didn't ask too much, but changed the subject. "How are you going to plan your summer vacation?" "I will go back to my hometown with Rias," Nangong Long replied. Have you and Rias senpai progressed to the stage where you meet their parents often?" Kiryuhara asked in surprise. Her exclamation caused the classmates in the class to talk about it again. "There's no chance. Yet, I'm no match for her at all. Rias senpai is so pretty and has a great body, I'm completely defeated." "You can't say that. As long as we take a step back, we still have a chance." "Take a step back?" "Yet, look, aren't Zenovia, Asia, and Irina all staying by Nangong's side? It's rumored that the student council president also has a close relationship with him, and. Well, you can try." "Makes sense." Some girls nodded in agreement, while others seemed a little hesitant. DX. Damn handsome guy, the evil winner. So envious. Boys are still envious and jealous. During class, Kiryuika passed a note to the teacher when he wasn't paying attention. "Busy man, can you give me 1 day of your vacation?" "Okay, it's settled. Call me when you get back." After the paper note game was over, Kiryuika turned around, blinked, and showed a sweet smile that was unusually sweet. "Everyone in the Mystery Research Society is discussing going to the underworld. I go back every year at this time, but this year I have a lot to do. The new generation of demons is having a party. We also need to practice to become stronger. I didn't expect that I would go to hell while I'm still alive." "What a strange feeling," Asia exclaimed in amazement. "Ah, yes, I have become a devil. It is only natural for me to go to hell. Heaven is no longer possible." Zenovia and Irina were in trouble. "Rias, please move the time forward by 1 day. I plan to take you to Nazarick," said Nangong Long. Rias was stunned for a moment, then nodded and replied, "Good King Na, come with us, and then we'll go back to the seedy family's territory." "Well, I'll tell my sister." "Well, then I'll inform teacher Azazel. After all, he has to go back with us too," Rias said. "I can finally go to your base camp. I'm so excited, meow." "Ah, I'm getting excited." The day of departure soon arrived, and when Nangong Long and his group arrived at the station, Azazel, Kaiba, Gasper, and Shiro Kimoto were already there. Shiro Kekimoto is the most miserable, his love affair ended before it even began. Everyone boarded the train to the underworld. "I heard that you plan to take Rias and the others to your territory. I wonder if I can go with you," Azazel asked. "Not this time, I will invite you next time if I have the chance." "Then I'll look forward to it," Azazel said with a smile, and then he closed his eyes and fell asleep. Junai walked to Nangong Long and sat on his lap, leaning close to his ear and saying, "I will satisfy you with all the sexy things during this trip." "Meow, so cunning, I'm the next one." "Meow, yes, August. What are you doing?" Rias, who came back from the previous car, said with a red aura all over her body. The noisy daily life began again. Nangong Long and his group got off the train when they arrived at Gremari's territory, while Azazel continued to take the train to the Demon King's territory. "What should we do next?" Rias asked. "I will use teleportation magic to reach Nazarick directly. Everyone, get ready." Good. Chapter 49. In the blink of an eye, everyone arrived at the great underground tomb of Nazarick. Rias and the others were surprised. Although the building was magnificent, it looked a bit dilapidated. However, if you look closely, you will find that someone cleans it regularly. "Is this the place? But why are some things broken?" Rias asked. "This place feels like a cemetery," Akeno expressed everyone's thoughts. It feels so eerie, meow that's right, how could there be no cemetery in the great underground tomb of Nazarick? Hey! Darling lives in a cemetery. Irina shuddered. You are right, but we are on the surface now. I live on a lower level. I will take you in to have a look. Knowing that the master had returned, Albedo and Lucy used the guild ring to teleport to the first floor. As soon as Lucy saw Nangong Long, she pounced on him. Did you miss me, sir? Luxi looked up at Nangong Long and smiled. Albedo couldn't help but raise her eyebrows and said in a serious tone, Lucy, there are other people here, please be aware of the impact. Lucy let go of Nangong Long's hand, then pointed at Rias and the others and said, what does it matter? We are all sisters from now on anyway. Nangong Long walked up to Albedo and hugged her. Don't be so serious, we are all family, just be more relaxed like the two of us are when we are together. Yeah, Albedo replied with a blushing face. Would you like to introduce yourself? Sana said. Albedo, the chief guardian, is the one who manages Nazarick for me when I'm away. Lucy, guardian of the 10th floor. Afterwards, Nangong Long introduced Lia Siwen and the others. As everyone walked into the underground floor, the eerie feeling became even stronger. The first 3 underground floors are all graveyards. The guardian of the first 3 floors is Shaltir, who is currently out on a mission. There's nothing to see here, let's go straight to the 4th floor. The girls nodded quickly in response, they didn't want to keep visiting the cemetery. The 4th floor is an underground lake. The mines on the 9th floor are mainly used to forge weapons. Your holy sword, Irina, was produced here. Oh, Irina looked around with shining eyes. Number TERS. I'm the manager, Lucy said, pointing at herself. Rias and the others looked at the sky with surprised expressions. Angels and fallen angels flew across the sky from time to time, and the least angels had 6 wings. The floating island is divided into several areas, each inhabited by creatures from the 10th layer, and various medicinal herbs are grown on the ground. How magical, angels and fallen angels are together, Shinra Tsubaki said in surprise. This is very common in Nazarick. You will get used to it slowly, Lucy said with a smile. The 11th floor is where I live. Rias and the others were completely shocked by the level of luxury before them. I take back what I said before, darling, the place you live in is too luxurious. The last floor is between the thrones. This is roughly the structure of Nazarick. As for the areas of each level, we will take a closer look later. We'll stay here tonight. If you need anything, remember to call the maid and don't walk around by yourself. There are many dangerous places here. Got it, meow yeah, I understand. The next day, Nangong Long took Rias and the others back to the territory of Gremory. After all, they had other things to do and couldn't stay in Nazarick forever. This trip to Nazarick was an eye-opener for the girls. Although they didn't see the whole thing, the aura of each of the guardians they met was terrifyingly strong. They also learned another thing, that is, Albedo and Lucy are strong enemies, both of whom are rare beauties. Dear, is Sister Albedo also a fallen angel? Akeno had this question yesterday but never found the chance to ask it. No, she is a demon, but her wings are more like a fallen angel. I see. Dragon, are all the guardians as strong as Demiurge? Rias asked, and the others listened carefully. No, hearing this, the girls breathed a sigh of relief. If they were all that strong, they couldn't even imagine it. But Nangong Long's next words made them realize that they were still too naive. Demiurge's strength is not very strong among the guardians. He is a guardian who tends to be in charge of the overall situation and is very intelligent. Deuterium. The girls gasped, it was so scary. I'm curious about who is the strongest among the guardians. The strongest individual is the demon dragon King Dane, you also met him yesterday. Yeah, the 6th floor, Dragon Island Lake, I remember it. Meow, we have no idea what you mean. Can you change it to a way that we understand? Asked King Na. Nangong Long thought for a moment and said, even if the two Tianlongs join forces, they can't defeat Dane. That's probably it. This is too strong, King Na said with some stammering. The others also showed expressions of disbelief. In the game, the dragon race is also superior to other races. Many world-class bosses are powerful dragons. It is estimated that the game designers really prefer the dragon race. That's why Nangong Long created the demon dragon King Dane. In addition, he spent a lot of effort and consumed countless precious materials. It would be unreasonable if Dane was not strong. Nangong Long touched Kang Na's hair and said, "Stay calm and keep a normal mind." Normal mind? Only you can say such a shocking thing with a calm face. Hitch jumped onto Nangong Long's back and said with a sweet smile, "As expected of my dear, you are amazing, hey?" "Come down quickly," Rias said loudly. No, soon everyone split into two groups. Sana and her family went to the station to return to the CD family's territory, while Rias returned to the Gremory family. Chapter 50. Rias and her group were riding in a luxurious carriage towards the Gremory family's castle. When the princess of the Gremory family returned, there was naturally a red carpet on the floor and maids to welcome her. "Welcome home, miss. Last time I came in a hurry and it ended in a fight, so I didn't say hello to Rias's parents." "This must be the Celestial Dragon Emperor," Rias' mother Venelana said with a smile. How could she not know Nangong Long? After all, she had attended the banquet last time and just used this sentence to start the topic. Since the host of the Red Dragon Emperor and the White Dragon Emperor is the same person, it is not appropriate to call either one of them individually, so now the underworld calls him the Heavenly Dragon Emperor. "Hello Auntie, I am Nangong Long. Nice to meet you. I'm Rias's mother, Venelana Gremory. Please give me your guidance." Before dinner, rooms were assigned to everyone, but the girls didn't care about their own rooms at all. Instead, they memorized Nangong Long's room very seriously. Probably they were planning to raid at night as usual. As for the timid Gasper, he was directly thrown to Kaiba. 890. After arranging the room, Nangong Long and his party went to the dining room for dinner. After chatting for a while, Rias's mother looked at Nangong Long and said, "Would you like to learn some aristocratic etiquette and the history of demons?" "No need, Auntie, I am a doctor." "Oh well, when are you and Rias going to?" Before Rias's father could finish his words, he was interrupted by Rias, who blushed. "Father, Mother, that's enough. I have been asking you non-stop since just now. Have you ever considered my feelings?" Venelana's smile disappeared and her expression became extremely stern. "Shut up, Rias. Do you know how big of an impact the last time the engagement was cancelled had? Your father and Sertsk spent a lot of effort just to appease those high-ranking devils. There were even nobles who said that the Devil King's willful sister used the legendary dragon to force the engagement to be cancelled." Rias's face turned very ugly and it was obvious that she was very angry. "With? You want to say that you have nothing to do with your brother, but others don't think so, especially now that the three major forces have signed a treaty, more people are watching you." Nangong Long frowned, he was very angry. He had not paid much attention to the affairs of the underworld since the last disturbance at the banquet. The demons who attended the banquet should not talk nonsense, but it is not certain. Of course, it is more likely that those who did not attend said it. After all, the news about what happened at the last banquet has been blocked, and basically no one else will know about it except those who were present. This will not be a deterrent to the demons that did not attend. Seeing Nangong Long's expression, Rias's parents' faces tightened. Could it be that he said something unnecessary? It might be terrible. Looking at Rias, who was extremely angry but unable to refute, Nangong Long held her soft hand and motioned for her to sit down first. Then Nangong Long looked at her parents and said, "We all agreed before that if Rias wins, the engagement will be cancelled. You all agreed, didn't you? So it's unreasonable for Aunt to blame Rias for this. And this matter is ultimately caused by you, Aunt, acting on your own initiative without considering Rias's feelings before making the engagement. I don't understand why you are so obsessed with pure-blooded demons. Are pure-bloods necessarily strong? To put it bluntly, it's just a symbol, but what's the use of that? Of course, I understand the thinking of big families. To enjoy a better life than ordinary people since childhood, you have to make more sacrifices." Akeno and the others looked puzzled, wondering why he had changed his personality today. "But even though I understand, I still oppose doing this. Ceci, is this really the right way?" Rias's parents didn't know what expression to make. Why did they say the previous sentence if they were against it? As for Rias's willfulness, so what? I am willing to spoil her and let her be willful for the rest of her life. If the other party wasn't Rias's parents, he wouldn't bother to reason with them. Rias even forgot to be angry and looked at him lovingly with tears in her eyes. Nangong Long wiped away her tears. "Why are you crying? If you become ugly, I won't love you anymore." "Humph, you dare!" Rias blushed slightly but still leaned on his shoulder. The other girls showed envy in their eyes, but Hitch was quite indifferent. After all, Nangong Long had caused a big fuss for her last time. Seeing this, Rias's parents smiled. They also want to see the two of them being together. The noble's gossip will soon disappear, you can rest assured about that, Nangong Long said with a smile. Although Nangong Long was smiling, everyone could sense something unusual. What do you want to do? Venelana asked. Nothing, just to make them shut up. It wasn't until a few days later that Rias's parents realized how big of a storm such a simple sentence had caused. At night, before the girls could sneak over, Nangong Long summoned Demiurge. Your subordinate, I pay my respects to you, my lord. Get up. Demiurge stood up and stood respectfully aside. I'm very angry now. Demiurge's expression changed instantly, looking very ugly. This was a dereliction of duty on the part of his subordinates. Please let me know, sir. I will immediately solve the problem that makes you unhappy. Some people have been talking about Rias breaking off the engagement recently. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. Do you understand? Yes, I will immediately make them shut up forever. Demiurge was already furious. He actually angered the lord he respected, which was a crime worthy of death. Demiurge has recently focused on building the palace and collecting materials for making artifacts, so he has neglected the collection of information from other aspects. Sir, I request to mobilize the troops of Nazarick. Yes, except for the guardians who are out on missions, the rest of the troops are at your disposal. Yes, I will do it right away. Do it cleanly and leave no evidence clear. The reason for doing this is that they don't want to point the finger at Rias. Another reason is that if they knew who did it, the underworld might unite to deal with him. Of course, Nangong Long wouldn't care about this, but it wouldn't be good to kill all the demons, so he had to keep a low profile.
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.